across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, very good evening. Welcome to the James Whale Show. And yep, I made it. I didn't think I was going to make it tonight, I must admit, but I might only do a short amount of time. Nice to have you with us. Women are women. Yes!
Yeah.
Talk
Well, we
about
knew that
later.
anyway. We knew it.
Yeah,
anyway.
we knew it. Women, and by the way, for David Lammy, as far as I know, women cannot grow a cervix.
He knows one.
Oh, men can't grow a cervix. Sorry, men. Women can.
Women don't need to grow them. They've got them built in.
Yeah.
They're built in.
We'll talk about that. But I was watching Julia earlier in the week. I have no idea who this woman is. I'm not even interested. But apparently she works around here, so I better be careful. This is somebody who got very upset with Julia.
Shivani Dave.
I didn't want to mention.
Oh, is that you were pretending you didn't?
Sake, shut
you were
your
pretending
mouth.
you didn't know.
The woman.
No relation of Phil, Dave.
The
by the
woman
way.
obviously wants to be famous. You've got
I
to.
don't think you can call her a woman. I know you can now.
Man or woman or whatever she is, I don't really care. But she said she had to leave because Julia was making her unsafe.
I'm feeling a bit unsafe now. Look,
Well, you should feel unsafe.
My palms are sweating. Look, feel
Because
it.
quite frankly, I get up out of my sick bed to come in here just so I can sit next to you for an hour
Here,
or so.
Norman, feel my palms.
Oh, yeah, they are. They're very wet.
You see? Get my safe
Invite
space.
her on this show. See how long she lasts. Look at this.
Trans women are women. They have always existed. They will always continue to exist.
What does that mean? They've existed.
Well, they've
no
always
one's saying. No one's saying they're figments of imagination.
Yeah, but we are saying that they're women.
No, you're saying saying they exist is not the same as saying they're women.
Well, I'm saying that they're women.
But that's not the same as saying they exist.
If the law doesn't want to...
Well, no, so we need to use words that have meaning.
Well, here's the words that have the meaning, because I've spent time to write these words, right, for you.
And we listen to them.
Frankly, I would rather share a bathroom with 100 trans women than one legal biological woman who wants to know what's inside my pants. And Julia, if I'm right in remembering, you did ask me what my genitals look like once live on TV.
I think that was in the context of a conversation and you raised that issue yourself.
I remember the quote. You don't have dangly bits, do you? So do you want to discuss dangly bits or not? Because
they are
frankly,
relevant, aren't
I am
they?
now feeling in a position where I'm in a room with you and I feel unsafe. Yeah.
You feel unsafe?
I feel unsafe. I feel my heart racing. My hands are starting to sweat. Do you want to touch my hand? Just clammy now.
Okay.
And I actually think I'm about to have a panic attack from sitting in a room with you. So I'd like to leave now.
What?
Yeah.
So you're feeling...
Yeah,
you were asked to come on the show to have a conversation.
And I've had a conversation.
We had a very nice...
We've had a conversation.
Well, you read out a statement, and now I'd like to ask you some questions.
You read out your statement. You did at the
read out
beginning.
a statement. No, that's me introducing the topic for people who are just tuning in and
you
explaining
added your
what happened.
ad-libs. You got to say what you thought about it. I've said my piece, and now I'd really like to go.
I thought we were you actually plugged into a mic there. I thought we were going to have a conversation.
I'd like to go.
You'd like to go? Okay, I wouldn't want anyone to feel unsafe being asked.
Okay, so there we are, whatever her name was, and quite frankly, that's just for publicity, in my view. How on earth you could feel unsafe sitting in a studio full of, people?
Well, most people feel unsafe
around.
with Julia sometimes when they're being interviewed. That's a natural reaction.
Ridiculous. And now it's official. If you happen to be trans, that means you are transitioning from one to another, doesn't it? So what is all this thing about trans women? Or even you could have trans men, I suppose. It's a minute part of the population that now just shut up and get on with your lives. Let everybody else do the same. I mean, all this demonstrating outside poor old J.K. Rowling's house and everything else.
She was over the moon like Hannibal, not Hannibal from the 80s.
Hannibal Lecter.
Not Hannibal. She's like smoking a cigar, wasn't she?
Do you know, it's a worry sitting next to you. My palms are beginning to sweat now. So let's talk about that. Have you got any thoughts on it? I must tell you, by the way, I should have told you before I played that clip, this is not the normal sort of programme you see on TV or hear on the radio. Tell your friends, it could trigger you. Obviously, it triggers guests occasionally. And occasionally I've thrown guests out. I don't do it very often. I do it when...
Not for a while, yeah.
No, because, they have to... It's a lot easier with new technology to have guests visually in the corner.
It's best to watch this show within a safe room if you've got one at home.
Yeah. So don't let us trigger you. And if you're easily upset about any of these subjects,
Leave the room now.
Go and watch and listen to something
leave
else.
the telly on. Just leave, make your excuses and up
We
the wooden
don't
hill.
need them as listeners. They can go. Or viewers, they can go. The number to ring now, you know. The number to ring if you want to continue and have your say. And if you agree with that woman who walked out and you think we're all a bit too rude and a bit too terrible here, call us 0344 499 1000. There it is. Bold on the screen. You know,
Well, you've always been bold on the screen.
Bold, not bald, bold. We found a bit of us doing it in 1990.
Yeah, the Reggie Cray interview show.
Interviewing about Reggie Cray. And
Channel 4, yeah.
A lot of people watching now won't even know who Reggie was.
Well, they better learn
the
quickly.
Cray twins were had a gang, but not like the gangs now.
No,
more like the gangs in New York
proper
back
gangs,
in the day.
Mafia.
And we were talking to one of their wives, and I can't remember what they filmed it and put it on a programme on Channel 4.
Yeah.
You look 12.
Well, I was only about 25, 26. It was at 98, so it's 25. And I'm 37 now, so...
And I'm saying to somebody who rang in, are you really that stupid? I mean, how rude was that? I wouldn't do that now, would I?
And Wilfred in County Down was on it. Very
Yeah.
good evening, James.
I think Wilfred must have died years ago, mustn't he?
Or it was a fake.
Yeah.
No, I think it's probably, yeah.
So call us 0344 499 1000. Now, to far more serious points, the possibility of a third world war, the possibility of a nuclear annihilation. To a number of people, this is something that they are concerned about. Pastor Mark Burns, President Trump's spiritual advisor, joins us now. Good to see you, Mark. It is worrying, this whole situation, because your president did say he thought he'd have it sorted out within the first few weeks, didn't he?
Well, you know, at the end of the day, it's two separate nations. Remember, James, the president did not start this war. But he is doing everything in his power to end the war. But again, you have two separate heads of states, and it is in Europe. And so, again, I don't think, and the rest of the world knows, had President Trump been the president, this would have never happened. But because of weak Joe Biden and foreign policies, Russia was, and let's be clear, Russia invaded Ukraine. And Ukraine, and again, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not sure if you've been following the news, but my entire opinion about Ukraine has shifted significantly because I was there on the ground for 3 days.
I have, and of course, that's what I want to talk to you about, Mark, in a moment. The fact that you and President Trump seem to be on different sides of the argument now, is that causing you a problem?
No, I don't think that we are on two different sides of the argument. Again, the president is the president. He is the commander in chief. But I can say this, you got to read the art of the deal. I don't think the president is bluffing at all, but you have to be willing to walk away from a deal in order to get a deal done. And the president is making it very clear. He is willing to walk away if one of the sides are just not coming to the table. Again, the president has made it very clear. He believes in the sovereignty of Ukraine. He believes, remember, it was President Trump who sent Ukraine javelins. It was President Biden, former President Biden, who sent pillows and blankets. And so we all know who who's really about protecting Ukraine. But again, you're dealing with a Russian aggressor who is the aggressor. I want to be very clear. They attacked Ukraine. It's not causing me any problems. I think the president, like I, want to bring peace to that region as fast as possible.
How do you compare it to the Cuban Missile Crisis? America didn't like missiles near them in Cuba, and Kennedy threatened nuclear war. Isn't it the same thing? You know, they're coming next door to Russia now.
Well, I've made it very clear that, you know, protecting and supporting Ukraine is America first. I am MAGA till I die. And I believe the Make America Great Again, and I have not shifted that opinion whatsoever. But I believe protecting Ukraine is America first, just for that very reason. We have to, if we don't stop this aggressor, then they will continue to do so, and we will really have World War III. But President Trump and I, we are in agreement. We're not in disagreement. But
and do you
again,
think he
both
listens?
sides got to come to the table.
Mark, do you think he listens to his advisors?
Well, I think that he has the the best advice as possible. I implored him today to not bought back away from the Ukrainian people. I wanted my position to be made known, and it was. Again, he is the president, and at the end of the day, the people elected him, and there are others who agree with me who are in those same positions. But again, the president has made it very clear. He didn't start this war, but he's doing everything in his power at the end of it. And my word to the Ukrainian people.
They've done the minerals deal,
and I was just about to bring that up, Ash. I was just about to bring that up. That was signed in that bilateral, a part of the bilateral trade agreement, economic agreement with Ukraine. That is exactly what the Ukrainian people wanted, which will help sustain them after the war
and protect them.
America
This is now protection.
Well, 100%. I mean, again, at the end of the day, Russia has to come to the table. Russia. It is Vladimir Putin. And the president, let me be very clear, he wants to do business with everybody. And I know some people don't agree with that, but there are some atrocities that has happened at the hand of the Russian army. They have to pay for it. They have to pay for it.
And how do you think, listen, how do you think he's going to change Putin's mind? Because he did say that if Putin doesn't give a little, and it will be a very bad thing for Putin and Russia as well. But to the rest of the world, it looks like he's being a little bit soft on Putin and being very hard on the Ukraine.
Well, let's just be very clear. You know, President Trump wants all of our supposedly enemies to become economic friends. Again, that's his goal. That's why he met with North Korea. Remember, everybody thought that Donald Trump was going to start World War III. No, he prevented it. And he, even though the deal didn't work with North Korea, he still came to the table and willing to talk to people who are supposedly our enemies. And so, again, that's why the United States of America is meeting with Iran. I myself was invited to go to Iran to speak with in a interfaith peace summit.
Are you going?
I'm praying about going. Well, I'm praying about it. There's so many other countries. I'm praying about it because at the end of the day, this is Holy Week. At the end of the day, I believe the Christian brothers and sisters that are in Iran, the Jewish brothers and sisters that are in Iran,
there's not many of them.
Somebody speaking to them.
Yeah, well, I mean,
they exist.
The fact is that, you know, we've, in this country, I'm not a religious person particularly, as you know.
He was baptised, though.
But the fact is, our government and local politicians as well have gone on and on and on about Ramadan and all the other whatever they are.
Everything else. Apart from and King Charles, he didn't even hardly mention Christmas. But don't you think
he did? He just mentioned the others on the. Don't listen to rubbish. No. There is. I know what you're talking about.
I do. I talked about it yesterday to the Queen's vicar.
Yeah, but the fact is that we are ignoring our culture, and we are ignoring what it is to be British, and we're getting quite a lot of stick, particularly from America, over this.
Well, I mean, again, at the end of the day, the British have to rule the British. America has to rule America, and Europe will rule Europe. I agree with you that there are some. We're losing part of the culture that has made America great again. Hence, why President Trump won so widely, and that Americans are waking up. And since my attendance to Ukraine, 69% of Republicans are now wanting to support Ukraine. There are others like Secretary Marco Rubio, who, again, he's stated it very clear. If both sides don't come to the table, then America may back out. But you got to also remember, I believe the art of the deal is at play here. And the president made it very clear. He's pissed off at Putin. If he doesn't come to the table, he will offer secondary tariffs on Russian oil.
Putin's doing it.
He will offer secondary tariffs on Russian oil that will cripple the Russian economy. So the president means business.
But Putin's doing it because he doesn't want Trump to look great, so he's dragging his feet a bit, and I'm sure there will be a deal because Putin doesn't want to take on the states, does he? So
Putin doesn't like President Trump.
He's going to do the deal.
Let's be clear. Yeah. Putin does not like President Trump. I know everybody's trying to make it out as though they're buddies. They're not. President Trump is the president of the greatest nation in the world, the United States of America. Russia has a dictator president and will kill off their enemies, kill off their political enemies. It is a mafia, and they are attacking innocent people in Ukraine. We need to make sure we're protecting Ukraine because protecting Ukraine is America first. Russia will not stop with Ukraine. They will keep going.
Do you think, finally, Do you think there are a lot of people trying to take advantage of the way this argument is going just to get rid of Trump because they can't get rid of him politically?
Well, I mean, listen, we know that the enemies of the world do not like President Trump. He has made it very clear with the tariffs, and we see the tariffs are working. China is now coming to the table. The infamous, large, massive China and their economy is coming to the table. Why? Because the yen dropped 18% because of President Donald Trump. So he knows exactly what he is doing. And so the reality of it is the globalists don't want President Trump in office, but we, the people of the United States of America, the constitutionalists of this great nation, are the ones that have always raised up President Trump and always empowered him to do exactly what he promised he would do. And again, promises made, promises kept.
Mark, talk to you soon. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks,
it's
man.
worrying times, I know. Pastor Mark Burns, who is President Trump's spiritual advisor. Got any thoughts? Call us now. We'll take calls after we come back. 0344 499 1000. What are you doing?
I'm pointing at look on the telly. Look, it's clever, that, isn't
Well,
it?
I was doing that for the radio.
Yes, so
Yeah.
we both, you know,
Let's take a
working
break.
symbiote.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Very good evening to you. Welcome to James Whale Unleashed tonight. And did you, I don't know whether you saw Alex yesterday, but it was really funny. Happy Easter, by the way, everyone. Happy
Yeah, man.
Easter.
Happy Easter, man.
Hope that offends loads of you. The fact is that Alex is very religious and quite proud of it. Quite rightly, you know, she is a very religious lady.
Good.
But she was going on. It was interesting.
It was like Ken in Ken, wasn't it?
Well, no, better than Ken.
Yeah, well,
Ken's a pillar.
Better.
Yeah, every time I look at reels now from Horse Guards and see my friends in the cavalry sitting on horses, he's in the background, or whether we're doing a report from College Green, he's in the background.
He's committed, or he should be committed.
Yeah, probably the latter. The fact is that Alex was really winding any people up, saying people like me, because I'm not religious, should just look inside a church over the next couple of
And
days.
just sit there. I heard that, and just
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. At the,
I might.
at the
Maybe
weekend.
we'll go together.
Yeah, man. Let's do it, man.
Maybe
yeah.
we should. You want to join us? 0344 499 1000. Pete the Mole, you're getting annoying now, Pete. It's nice to know you're watching and listening, but you're sending me so many messages. It's anyway.
He says he likes it when you harpoon the guests, James.
Yeah.
He's being complimentary.
Also, before I'm coming to Matthew, I'm going to Georgia. We'll be with you in a moment. Also, if you want to send a voice note, can you explain that?
We've got one. WhatsApp. Send it on that number on WhatsApp. We've got one.
So if
already,
you,
yeah.
what happens if you don't want to come on the air?
Yeah.
And take part. If you want to say something, as long as it's no longer than a minute,
Yeah.
I mean, that woman on Julia's show brought in a whole statement, and Julia let her read it out.
Well, they can't talk ad lib, the Virgin presenters.
Never mind her
apart
name.
from Steve.
Yeah. Okay. So, Steve, this is Steve Allen, and this is Steve Allen. Oh, is it? Oh, right. Okay.
No, this is Pete the Mole.
Oh, James, Jesus loved you.
Off
this
now.
This is the new
Off
takeover
now.
from
Off.
the friend
I
of
mean it
Ken,
off.
the Bible
Don't look at me.
man.
Turn it off, or you won't be on the show
Jesus
again.
loved you. Happy
Off
Easter,
now.
James.
Off.
What did he say? I missed
Never
that.
mind. We don't know. Well, I mean, why on earth put that on? You knew that would wind me up. I'm not feeling very well.
We've got Steve Allen.
Okay.
Oh, Steve, he's got to do something.
Hi, James. Hi, Ash.
No, it's not.
World War
Is it?
III. Let's see. Shouldn't worry too much about Europe being involved in World War III. I don't think they'll be able to send rockets to Russia, because I don't think they've got funds to buy the matches to light the blue touch paper.
Okay, right. I don't know. VE Day is a day that should be celebrated, and we're all very lucky we can.
Yeah.
And I think blaming America for stuff doesn't really help the situation at all. And some people are taking, liberties in what they're saying about America. So you could do a voice note like that, but not like Pete
Statues
flipping
of
Mole.
liberties. Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah, man.
what a waste of time.
Yeah.
Who are this team in here? I mean, look at them.
I know. I see.
Do we
him a
get the
lot, yeah.
word? I
You get used to it now.
I thought we only had the creme de la creme working on the show I was promised.
Well, they always nick them off us when we make them good, and then they put them on the other.
It's because
shows.
I keep Chuck, the producer, and they
Yeah.
all get very stressed because they want him.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk to Georgina in London. Hello, Georgina, you're on the air.
Good evening, James, and I hope you start to feel better very soon. I've been saying prayers for you. Not that you need my prayers, but I've been saying prayers for you.
You're very sweet, and I appreciate it, Georgina. But I think I'm heading to the exit. But yeah, thank you.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm thinking about you anyway. I wanted to say about that silly woman, man, whatever she is or thinks she is or whatever, that's her business. But I think that when people can't answer a question properly and with a degree of civility, then they get very offended and they storm off. And that's what she did with Julia today. And also, I wanted to say that I was totally disgusted with the Easter message that we didn't get from our king. So much so, I wrote a little poem. It's only short, and I'd love to be able to tell it to you if you would allow me to.
We would love you to tell it to us, and being such a polite lady, we would like you to be an example to everybody else.
Oh, you're an angel. Right, okay. It's this is a message for the King. King Charles, we must tell you that you have let your subjects down. Your Easter message was nondescript. Yours is the head that wears the crown. It's up to you to let us know just how it's going to be. You wished Muslims happy Eid, but forgot about Christianity. Remember, sir, our voice is loud.
Bit snappier.
And you must lead us true. Christianity is Britain's face, so you know what you must do. Your head of our church, be there for us. With your people you are keeping. And remember, sir, the line of Britain is not dead, it is merely sleeping. On the shelf you put God himself, to whom you were anointed.
I thought she'd finished.
The defender of our faith, don't forget, sir, you were appointed. Your mother guarded Christianity when she wore her crown. If you do not think the same, King Charles, then I think you should step down.
Right, I didn't know it was going to just... You were very rude. Stop it. I'm sorry, he interrupted.
Was that the Hovis? Was he playing the Hovis music?
No,
Yeah, he was, and I think that was really rude.
That was really naughty, but it doesn't matter. You didn't put me off. I kept on going like a professional.
Well, I think you did really well, and I hope Charles understands that he is the king of the... we shouldn't have religion to identify a country, but we do. And most countries seem to. And we are a so-called a Christian country. Why we give in to all these other religions? You know, you're free to come here, free to worship in a way you want, but you are not free to try and take
but cutting
over.
down Christianity is given a vacuum. So other religions are taking over, even buying churches.
All right.
Well, to be honest with you, I mean the way King Charles has been this last couple of months with all the message he put out for the Muslim community. I mean, it's lovely that he did, wish them happy Eid, but not wishing us a happy Easter. I mean, his mum would be absolutely spinning. I wouldn't be surprised if he's turned Muslim on the quiet, to be honest, because
I don't
something's
think so,
definitely
Georgina.
going on.
I don't think so. Georgina, lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Matthew's in Devon. I'd like to be in Devon.
Or
Yeah, evening, James and Ash. Good to
Matthew.
talk to you. Wishing you well, James, with your health. I really do. Yeah, the first topic I just wanted to talk about was Easter. I'm an atheist, so I've not got a religious background at all. But this is a Christian country, and I'm sitting fed up of reading all these ridiculous, patronising quotes from people. Oh, you know, we can't celebrate Easter because it might offend or upset other religions. Well, tough. This is a Christian country at the end of the day. You know, if we can't celebrate Easter, then we may as well all give up.
And what about all these schools who are so offended by the word Easter, by the word Christmas? You know, they're not offended by Eid or I don't know the
it's
names.
it's the middle class liberals kicking off. The actual other religions would rather it was all about Easter.
I've spoke to you both before many times in the past. I'm not bothered about other religions. You know, I respect all religions. I'm an atheist. I don't celebrate Christianity, Catholic, Judaism, Islam. But this is a Christian country, and it does wind me up when we have people who slate the fact that people celebrate Easter. This is a Christian country at the end of the day. And there's people, there's certain friends of mine who are quite religious. They're Christians. They go to church every week. And they feel now as if, well, you know, if they celebrate Easter, they're almost chastised because they're celebrating Easter.
But our culture is based on the Judeo-Christian sort of religion, isn't it? Our freedom, our democracy.
I mean,
it all comes from Christianity.
That's just sense, isn't it?
But it comes from the teachings of Jesus.
Right and wrong. Matthew, good to talk. Thank you very much indeed. I just want to share this with you. People need to go easy on Charles. The drugs and hormones given for the cancer he is on sometimes make people do some out of character things. Now, as you know, I'm stage 4 with kidney cancer. I've got tumours everywhere, baby, let me tell you. And at the moment, the ones in my lungs are affecting me, making it difficult to breathe and talk at the same time. But I'm on all kinds of things that can have an effect on how I think and how I feel. I've had a really depressed week this week, and hopefully tonight I'm not going to be.
You feel a bit better now already, I bet.
But I'm finding it difficult, I have to be honest, and I hadn't considered that. And as somebody with cancer, I should have considered that. And maybe we all need to be just a little more understanding that Charles is on very strong medication. Let me tell you, I've done it. Very strong medication. And it does an awful lot to your body and an awful lot to your mind as well. So thank you very much indeed for that. That's a good point. Regan is in Bristol. Regan, you're on the air. Good evening.
Oh, Regan.
Radio off, Regan.
Regan.
Who is doing the phones tonight? Tell him. Joe Stock. Tell him.
Punish him, Chuck.
Punish him now, Chuck.
Punish him.
In the way we like. He's not Boris Johnson.
He's one of his sons. He looks like him. Yeah.
He might look like Boris. Stop interfering. Just when people call it, listen, when you call in and you can see us, you're on the TV or the radio. Okay, right, Regan, you're on the air.
Oh, hi, James and Ash. My grandma watches you every single week.
What a lovely grandmother.
Would you be able to say hi to her? She's got all 9 of her grandchildren to vote reform as well. Her name's Linda.
Could you? I only do requests for highs for £150. Could you say
per child? Per grandchild.
How many children?
9.
Well, she's got plenty of money, so.
But I tell you, I'll do a deal. 500 quid for all the grandchildren.
All at once.
And done.
And I'll do it for another 500.
Well, that's when I see James, and I'll ask him.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right,
Regan.
I'll let her know. Would you be able to say hi to her for me?
What's her name?
Linda.
Would you like me to get Ash to do it?
Please may you both do it.
What, together in unison?
Say...
Well, sorry, Ash, but James is our favourite.
Hi to Linda. So much love, Linda. Hi. Regan, great name, great call. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I'm not saying
you're
hello,
losing the
Linda.
lot. Losing the
must
lot.
be losing it, man.
You're losing it,
Must
man.
be losing it, baby.
Yeah, let's take a break. Oh.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Oh, right, sorry, back. Right, listen, good evening. Welcome back. James Well Unleashed for an hour tonight till
Starring
11.
Ash.
You can star when I'm not here, but not until then, okay? Listen, if you want to join us, 0344 499 1000 is the number. Call us, whether you're watching on TV, listening on radio, and if you come on, then you'll have to talk down the telephone if you are doing it normally. If you're doing it on a computer, on FaceTime or Zoom or one of those, you don't need to worry about the TV.
No, yeah, don't worry about it.
But if you do it on the radio, you could... I don't understand how it goes on. Is it only the radio where you get the feedback?
Yeah, no, you can get feedback on all of it, yeah. Don't worry about that.
Sorry, say again so everybody can hear you.
You can hear it everywhere.
Well, it's not technically feedback, is it? No.
No. It's
just repeating itself.
Do you want to say who that is?
That's Matt,
yeah,
who doesn't understand feedback.
Who's our chief engineer.
Chief engineer.
Yeah. Anyway, listen. So good news today, that, well, this week now, a couple of days ago, that judges at the Supreme Court have unanimously ruled that a woman is defined by biological sex under equality law, which will mean that if you want to have trans women, if that carries on, compete against each other, that's fine. But they have to be trans people and not the sex you transitioned to. Although I don't think it happens very much in men who transitioned from women.
But also they should change the retrospective results, because it wasn't actually a new ruling. It was saying you were wrong in the first place. So all those women should sue who lost prize money, and all the amateur girls who got injured should sue.
But why did society, and if you're one of those who think this is rubbish, why did society take the side of these activists who represent hardly anybody? A lot of people quietly, often in their 20s, 30s, decide that they really would like to live a different way and go off and have all the medical procedures and do that. And I have a friend, as you know, who did that. You never think of her as a man, would you?
But they program the media. A lot of these shows that are on telly, they get money to do these things. The soap operas get money to do these storylines, and it becomes like the fashion, and it's a psychological operation. Don't think.
But let's hope that the Supreme Court isn't going to allow loads of people sort of complaining about this and wanting to do it again, because that's one of the biggest problems this country has.
Well, it's illegal now. It's been cleared up.
So let's talk to our next guest, Louise McClatchy.
Lois McClatchy Miller.
I'm totally dyslexic. Lois McClatchy Miller, not Louise. Lois, good evening to you.
Good evening.
You've been talking about this subject for years, and it must have given you an enormous amount of stress, I would have thought.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the court was asked the fundamental question, it seems, of our generation we've battled with: what is a woman? And now we have a unanimous verdict, a clear response. This depends on biological sex. And, it's something that we have actually known throughout human history. It's not news to us. But finally, we have this clarity in law that the rights and dignity and privacy afforded to biological women is indeed for a biological woman. And you're right that that will translate into how we approach things like sports teams, bathrooms, women's prisons, all the safe and sensitive spaces where a kind of biological reality is required. This will now be able to feed through. Now, this won't happen automatically. It's going to take a lot of work to ensure that that verdict then trickles down into the reality of everybody's people's lives.
Louise,
but it's a great start.
Lois, sorry. Why has this had so much power? Why has the media taken this topic, which represents very few people, and run with it the way they have? How did it get so much power?
It's a very, very good question. And it's interesting, especially that, this is something that affects 50% of the population who are women, who have been raising concerns, really valid concerns about their safety, privacy, and dignity for years. And for so many years, they were vilified. I mean, the kind of things that what came out in the judgment this week, the sentences that were read, things, pointing out that men can't be pregnant. These are things that if you had said them on Twitter 5 years ago, you may well have lost your account. If you'd said them in a workspace 5 years ago, you could have been in trouble for your job. You could have lost friends and family over having such biologically based beliefs.
Is it true that you've been living sort of in abject fear for the last 5 years for things that you said and you didn't realise would be responded in the way it was?
I mean, there was a culture of censorship, wasn't there? I think we all experienced it throughout.
Well, you go to prison. Some people got sent to prison, didn't they?
Now that we have this court ruling, but it certainly has been validated, the beliefs that were said. And this has been, something across the UK for the last 5 years. We've had incredible cases and stories leading up to this week. My four-stater, for example, being one, who spoke about her beliefs in biological reality and ended up losing her job and was able to take a case against that. And that was something that really turned people's minds and hearts around when they saw what women were facing when they were speaking about this reality. We also had things like the Tavistock Clinic being shut down, and Kira Bell, the detransitioner, speaking about her experience as a child who had been taught and believed tragically that she had been born in the wrong body and all that she had actually needed was love and affirmation about the skin that she was in. And hearing those stories really has caused a change, I think, across the UK. And we see this shift, this really important.
But not in the institutions. The reason it happened is because every institution's been captured. You can't get on in those institutions, the BBC, the police, politicians, civil service, if you don't toe the line. That's what's happened. And they're all still in place. So what's going to happen?
Yeah, well, now the work begins, doesn't it? The work begins in changing those policies. I just got made aware a couple of days ago about a case in Scotland where a male prisoner who is convicted of murder and has a history of attacking female prison guards is still resident in a female prison wing, even as of right now.
Which is illegal now, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's going to have to take time to work out, isn't it?
Exactly. It's going to take time. So what we need is to have guidance rewritten across public services.
But why have organisations like the police, like the NHS, and like the civil service, why have they bought into this rubbish so easily? I mean, they've got diversity officers who are a waste of bloody space, in my view. Sue me for it. I don't care.
Well, it's racist, diversity.
And they're being paid over a six-figure sum in many, many cases to tell people lies.
That's right. Well, there's immense money in funding this lie. The lobby groups that have been working and getting into these institutions for decades really have spent enormous amounts of money in pushing this kind of propaganda, really, that men can be women and that men should be treated the same as women and that women shouldn't have safe spaces. It's that where one of the institutions I'm most concerned is about education. I'm worried about things that have been taught in schools for the last 10 years, impacting kids' psychology, making them doubt themselves. Of course, I heard you were speaking just before I came on about kind of social contagion. And the way these things can catch on, and especially that's a problem amongst teenage girls. You know, when I was at school, we were all having a moment where anorexia was kind of the social contagion of the day. We all wondered if we were anorexic because it was being talked about so much, and it kind of caught fire in that sense. And we see the same thing in our schools now for teenage girls who are going through a time of puberty, a time of confusion in any case, and start to wonder, am I wrong? Is my body wrong? Am I not fitting in well enough? Should I transition to being a boy? So I'm most concerned about the kids. I'm most concerned about the schools, and my priority is that we get this rolling.
Final question. Slow down. You're rushing, and I'm getting tired listening to you. You're talking too quickly for me. Do all these... No, don't take it as a... Honestly...
He's always like that.
Okay.
His bark worse than his bite.
No, it's not, actually. I'm known as the rudest man on TV.
But it's not just misogynistic, it's anti-gay, isn't it?
Speaking. Will you be quiet? Sorry. Right, do you think now that all these companies with these huge diversity departments should actually be looking in the way of closing them down?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there is ways that we can implement fairness in our workplace, which is absolutely right, and respect, without spending millions of pounds on having someone whose primary job is just to sort out arguments that haven't even taken place. It doesn't make any sense to be putting this level of investment into something that is just preventing offence. Rather, we should be organising this through HR and having man-to-man, woman-to-woman conversations about disagreements rather than running to an officer.
Because I'm such a nice person, I am going to give you the chance to ask the final question.
It's not just misogynistic, it was also anti-gay, because gay people, lesbians and gay, they couldn't have their own spaces. They had to say if you were a man, you call yourself a lesbian. So they didn't even have a space that they could have as on their own. So it wasn't just misogynistic, it was anti-gay, wasn't it?
Yeah, and one of the kind of arguments that's been made as well is that when kids are growing up, when there was a kind of phase of telling that they didn't have to fit into stereotypes. So girls who wanted to climb trees rather than play with Barbies were taught that that was, you know, a valid way to be a girl. And if boy wanted to do arts and crafts instead of football, you know, that was, you know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, said that's fine. You're happy. Follow your own lead. But now the kind of ideology is that if you don't fit the stereotype, if you are a girl who wants to climb trees and do STEM and do all these things that are typically have been more historically masculine, then you are kind of pushed on a path to start to question your very gender, which seems to be at odds with
Thank you very much indeed, and for getting so much in such a short time.
Thanks, Lois.
Yeah, very, very good. Lois, thank you very much indeed for that. Nice to talk to you. Lois McClatchy-Miller, who is a gender-critical commentator.
Yeah,
as are we all
She's
now.
great. We are.
As we all.
Yeah, anyone can be if they want to be.
Are you watching?
Across the UK, on DAB+, On your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Audio-visual sensorama. What on earth is that?
I don't know, man.
Did Chuck come up with that?
I don't know. It's probably the little Peter G. Yeah, I read that. I'll read this text out from Michael.
Ash, I hope you feel the disgrace of your disrespectful show against the caller Georgina. You may think it's funny, but I would predict 99.9% of listeners were disgusted. If I were your boss, I would dismiss you immediately. You are an ignorant pig. Love your boss.
And you talk in that silly voice.
That's Michael's voice.
Mate, if the boss is listening, I apologise profusely for this pillock. Okay. It's, what was I going to say?
Oh, he also...
Ash, you need to apologise to Georgina, but I doubt you're man enough, hence why you won't read out my previous
Shut
message.
Up. Listen,
you're a disgrace.
You don't listen to a bloody thing, do you?
I don't need to.
I wanted to be as offensive as I possibly can. So here's an Easter egg with the word... Oh, hang on. Oh, no. They've left the word Easter out.
It's on the top.
Can you see that?
It's on.
Why?
They're hiding it.
They've got it up there.
They've hidden it.
But why isn't it on the front? It just says Cadbury's cream egg. Doesn't say anything about Easter. So I may have to stop buying Cadbury's chocolate, which I was probably keeping their company afloat.
It's American now, anyway, since Peter Mandelson sold it for
It's not an Eid egg.
No.
You know, it's an Easter egg. And as I hadn't got you a present, I thought I'd give this to you.
Thanks,
and you know.
But I can't eat it tonight because it's it's Passover.
Bought by Andy, but get them to give you the money back, Andy.
It's Passover, I can't eat it.
Yeah,
Is it an unleavened egg?
Well, I had a look in the box.
It feels it.
I had a look in the box, and they had a little cream egg.
I don't like those, because why would you put an egg in chocolate?
What?
It's a real egg. It's soft-boiled egg in there.
At my time, it doesn't matter what I eat.
Happy Eater. Do you remember those restaurants? The Happy Eater, very high-class restaurants.
I mean...
like Little Chef competitors. So.
They do say that sugar feeds cancer, but at my stage, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. I'm not being blasé or flat.
No. Yeah, man.
Yeah, because you are... What, what's he is?
Pre-diabetic. Yeah.
So can you eat that?
Well, I shouldn't, but... And it's Passover, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Let's talk to Karen in Scotland. Karen, you're on the air.
Kill Gregan.
Probably.
What's Gregan done?
Karen, talk to us.
Good evening, James. Good evening, Ash. It is so lovely to talk to you both again. And thank you very much, James, for not shuffling off your mortal coil just yet.
Well, you know, every day's a new one.
Hey,
you've got the bloody phone or the TV or the radio on. Why?
Well, why don't I? Because I have to watch what you two are up to. Plus,
no, because there's a 5-second delay.
Longer than that.
What can we do for you, Karen? In the meantime, hopefully somebody's turned it down. What can we do for you?
I just did. No, it's lovely to see you both.
Yeah, you've done that. Really get to the bloody point.
The point is, it's pouring down rain in Scotland because Nicola Sturgeon and all her SNP people are crying over the fact that somebody pointed out men are men and women are women.
Yeah.
That is something I'm absolutely chuffed about. But it took about a New York second before the activists jumped on a bandwagon and said, oh, so it'll be 5 minutes before all the lawyers are jumping on that particular bandwagon.
They won't be able to do much, will they? Because it was the Supreme Court. So hopefully they won't be able to do too much.
She already lost her job, Jimmy Cranky, because of all that hassle in the prison, didn't she? About a year or two ago.
Well, it was a couple of years ago, and let's be honest, it was patently obvious.
Well, why are we talking about her? She's a
yesterday's chip paper.
Yesterday's news story.
But sadly, up here, she still has so many supporters because of the party she was a member of, the head of, and you're seeing it everywhere else. All these little nasty, nippy sweeties who are saying, oh, well, that's not right. We're not going to follow those rules.
But they're toddlers, aren't they? They're like acting like toddlers playing up. You know, that's what we know.
Being very pathetic, and they will learn if there is a major conflict and they all start getting forced to join the armed forces, which, in fact, if we needed to, we would have to do as a nation. They'll start thinking differently, I'm sure. Karen, thank you for that. If you want to join us, 03444991000, to send us a text, which Pete the Mole seems to be doing every second. It's very easy. Just text 87. We don't want to hear his voice again.
Oh, yeah, what's he saying?
Just get rid of him. Guys.
He loves you.
You used to work for me regularly. You don't work for me very often now, and do you want to know the reason why? Get him off. Don't listen. Don't listen to the producer.
I missed what he said then.
Because on the title credits, I see that I'm the executive producer, and if I'm not, why not?
Do we have titles?
Just to let you know, I'm listening.
Oh God! Get rid of that frigging twallop. Right, I'm serious. I'm serious. What he's waving at you, ignore him. Ignore him. Wayne, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
And he's laughing as well. He's not.
All right, Wayne.
That's brilliant.
Is this Wayne Hussey? You threw shoes at James on the James Wales show back in the 80s.
Anyway, I'm sure if Wayne and I are friends now.
Way before my time. I just wanted to talk about the. I just wanted to talk about the Lucy Connolly story that's going about at the moment. Obviously, I know it's been happening for a while. I'd seen on the Kevin O'Sullivan interview the other day. So it's been like over 8 months now where she's been incarcerated.
Yeah.
I was just thinking it was a random thought, but I thought there was something going on with Elon Musk and Robinson guy, wasn't it? They were looking at trying to get him out of prison. So why is it that if he's supporting the UK so much at the moment, surely this X tweet would have gone out and he could have tried to, say this is my platform at the end of the day, it's free speech. Why can't we do something about getting them out?
I think the government overreacted. I think they've all agreed it's an overreaction. And I hope I'm right, I think she will be let out fairly soon.
But they've already could let her out. They've let loads of others out. She's got a husband who's very ill.
She's nearly done half her term, hasn't
she? Should be out. And she shouldn't have been in the first place. She's a political prisoner.
I agree.
And her daughter's having trouble now at school and everything.
I
disgraceful,
totally agree.
That is. Absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah, but then Keir Starmer is a useless Prime Minister.
He's worse than that.
David Lammy is a ridiculously stupid person to put as far. I mean, here's a man.
Rachel Reeves, just a whole lot. Cooper, they're all idiots, man.
Absolutely. Wayne, thank you. John is in Yorkshire. John, good evening to you.
Hello. How are you both?
All right, man.
John, what can we do for you?
Well, I've just wanted to talk about getting this country back on track again.
How do we do it, John?
Well, there's several ways. For one, you could open a few of the mines, get a steelwork places up and running again.
Totally agree so far.
Because they said they couldn't use the coal, and that's been proven as a
fracking.
lie. That was a lie. Well, they can.
Fracking's another thing, and get rid of this net zero, because, in years to come, there's going to be more people with more bills. It's going to get higher and higher.
So how do we... Here's the point, John. How do we get the government to actually do these sensible things? Obviously, get rid of Ed Miliband first, but how do we get the government to do this?
Well, this is the shocker, you see. I'm not sure we can do it with this government.
Yeah, but, we are a democratic country, quite rightly, and we need to wait for the next election. Now, we've done a...
we haven't got 4 years. That's the trouble, isn't it? We haven't got that time, so we're stuck.
There is no other way. You're not suggesting a revolution, I hope.
I'm not saying it, but if you speak to Professor Betts, he's saying it's inevitable that there'll be a civil war, and some are saying it's already going on.
For all our sakes, there isn't.
Well, yeah, I know, but they need to do something because it's going to get worse.
Is take another vote, even if it's just getting Starmer out and a few of his cronies, getting somebody from the backbenchers who probably been with Labour, and the old Labour in a way. There might still be a few people what we could trust.
I don't know that there has ever been an old Labour Party that would do that, but an interesting point. But you see when we talk about it, John, how difficult this situation is. And I mean, people said the same thing about Thatcher, didn't they? From the other side.
But Tony Blair started this whole problem with his change of our constitution.
Tony Blair should be ashamed of himself. John, thank you. Let's talk to Mark, who's in
Wrexham.
Wrexham. Mark?
James.
Mark.
Lovely to speak to you.
What can we do for you?
I've been a fan of yours for about 40 years.
Yeah, I'll take it that you love me, but what can we do for you?
I've got a problem with Ash.
You've got a problem with Ash. Now, I could leave this till the next hour
A
for
lot of
Ash
people
to talk to, because we don't have very much time before the news at 11.
I like them, and I don't like it.
You know, but I mean, there must be more to it. Would you like a long debate about that?
No, a short debate.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. 0344. Oh, no.
What's happened?
Lance, could Ash read my poem out, please? At last, the gravel struck the stone, and truth reclaimed its rightful throne. No blur of word, no borrowed guise, but women seen with clear eyes. Good, that's good little poem.
Beautiful,
good.
It is.
Paul in Port Talbot.
Paul in Neath, South Wales.
Neath. Well, I know it well, Paul.
Nice? Is there a Nice?
No, shut up. I spent a lot of my childhood in Puthcall.
Yes, wonderful part of the world. Thank you. I'd just like to say, guys, the way to get this country back on track is to get rid of Labour.
But how do you do that?
Well,
in a democracy, they have now the right to rule for the next couple of years, and I don't want us changing from a democracy, so we just have to hope that they listen to programmes that they don't agree with.
Yeah,
and maybe take some notice.
Come to their senses. They shut down your steel plant, didn't they?
Absolutely disgusting. Disgusting.
The chances are it might open again now, though. That's the thing.
But once you turn them off, you can't.
Yeah,
it's a different
the
sort of
blast
steel.
furnace is off, unfortunately. But what I'd like to say is we've got to get Farage in. We've got to stop the invaders coming into our country. We've got to kick them all out.
Yeah, but you know,
Donald Trump for 6 months.
the invaders coming in, sadly, one of them died today, but then they shouldn't have attempted to.
Well,
cross
that's the woke
channel.
people's fault again.
Exactly.
Why?
Because they're not stopping it, so people will drown because of the woke. This is a thing they don't understand. The woke are causing all these problems and causing people's death. They got blood on their hands.
I tell you what, Starmer is nothing but a bully, okay? He's picking on the farmers, the elderly, the children starving in this country, the disabled, okay?
Old people freezing, that woman in prison.
Yeah.
Paul, I've got to go, Paul, because we've finished. We're coming up to the news. I won't have a chance to talk to Jill. But
Are you
Jill,
going to go or stay 15 minutes?
No, I'm going. I'm not feeling very good. I'm
right,
finding it difficult to breathe.
Okay, man.
And we are going to do calls with Ash.
Yeah, calls with Ash.
Jill will be first on.
Jill.
I bet that's exciting.
Jill in Wales. You can't just say Wales.
And there's a whole
poem. That'll fill a whole portion.
You've got to read out. Yeah. What are you doing?
Just checking your messages.
Oh, fine. Thanks very much indeed. Listen, I do enjoy being on the air. It does help me, and anybody with cancer will tell you that being able to do some fairly normal things does help. But I've been in this situation a long time now, and I suppose you have to face facts that things change. Hopefully see you next Friday. Maybe
Definitely,
a bit more than an hour. So,
right, have a good one, man.
Yeah.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, he's left the build. Well, he's left the studio. So it's just you and me and Andrew Eborn, futurist, magician, barrister. I mean, he can do anything really. It says Ashgill, but that's not his name. But anyway, we're just going to take your calls now. So give us a ring 0344 499 1000. Give us a ring right now, and let's just go straight to it with Jill in Wales. You can't just say Wales. Where are you, Jill? Where in Wales?
Carmarthen.
Carnarvon. Yeah.
Carmarthen, yes. Sir Gaia.
Yeah, Carnarvon, yeah. So what did you want to talk about?
No, I just wanted to say hello to James. I've just come back from Mauritius, and they're 4 hours, they were 4 hours ahead, and I was sitting up until 2 in the morning just to watch his show.
Oh, but he's gone now.
I know he's gone. Yeah. I know. I've spoken to him before because I was on about the increase in the pension when you became 80 years old.
When James became 80, yeah.
No, when
Really? You don't sound it. You sound very young.
I know. I'm very young. I still scuba dive. I do everything.
Why'd you do that?
Well, it's nature.
Well, you look at the fish and all that, yeah. Where'd you go scuba diving, Jill?
In Mauritius.
Oh, right. So you went there and what fish did you see?
Puffer, eels, moray eels, a few baby sharks.
Sharks, yeah. Isn't it dangerous, like with the sharks, isn't it? You know, come and
No, because Mauritius is surrounded by a reef. So we don't usually get sharks inside.
Don't usually, but I remember I was in the Red Sea and I was swimming in it and worrying about it, but nothing happened. And then a couple of weeks later, loads of tourists got eaten. So, you know, be very careful. Anything you want to talk about, or just say hello to James?
Well, I want to say I still support the Donald, President Trump.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% there now. Let's say I'm about 82%, because I think there's some things that are wrong, but I still wear my red cap and say go for it.
You got a MAGA hat?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Well, that's Make America Great Again, but I also believe in the MEGA, which is Make Europe Great Again.
Make Wales great again.
Well, it doesn't go, does it, Mwaka?
I quite like that, yeah, Mwaka.
Well, I suppose if you come from Nairobi or somewhere, Mwaka, yeah.
All right, Jill. Well, thank you very much. Let's go straight to our religious correspondent, Ken, in London. Happy Easter, Ken. Happy Easter.
Actually, before I say anything, God help James Whale.
Yeah.
James, if you're listening, waking up, sir. Christ died for you, rose from the dead. Don't go to hell, James. God loves you. Ask forgiveness. Ask forgiveness. Be humble. And God will hear your cry if you believe in Jesus. James, waking up, my friend.
He's gone.
Here's another thing, Ash. I'd like to talk about Passover.
Yeah, go on, yeah. What do you want to say about it? What about it, man?
But before that, common sense is taking over the land at last. Laws now passed that a woman is defined by biological sex.
Yeah, right. It's great, isn't it?
Okay, fantastic.
Not too many years ago, Ash, a trans woman was actually a homosexual dressed up and called a transvestite.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, transvestite. That was all quite big in the 70s, wasn't it? And you remember Knight Rider, the car was a Trans Am.
Oh, I don't remember all that.
No, it was, yeah. Oh, my God.
But listen, Ash, and everybody that's listening, thanks for allowing me free speech here.
It's all right.
Our time on Earth, everybody is running out. This is Easter.
Your time on air is running out.
The time is running out. We're headed for nuclear war. We are headed for great tribulation. The Lord is coming back.
And civil war, possibly, as well. And civil war as well. What's your predictions then, Ken? Because it's all written and you've been right so far. What's happening next?
Well, let me read out two predictions in the Bible. Two most awesome predictions. It's, if you'll allow me, Ash. It's in John chapter 35 and John verse 36. Verse 35,
Prolific writer,
verse 36.
that,
The Father loveth the Son, and hath given all things into his hands. He that believeth on the Son hath everlasting life. And he that believeth not the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God abideth on him. Two crucial, awesome.
You sound like Samuel L. Jackson.
Very good, wasn't he? Yeah, no, I love that.
And the wrath of Ken. And what's the second one, Ken?
The second one is this. God says in the Bible, choose you this day, Ash, and every listener and every viewer, choose you this day whom you will serve. Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God, who loves us and died for our sins and rose from the dead, or will you serve the devil who hates us?
And you've got to decide why Bully's bored before it turns around.
Ash, this is crucial.
Sorry, sorry, I'm mocking it again. So, how long have we got, Ken?
Well, we don't know, Ash. Jesus said no man knows the time or the hour, but we see everything is developing right in front of our very eyes. The main sign is Israel and Jerusalem. The return of the Jewish people to their own land was a miracle ordained by God in 1948, and they now have sovereign control of Jerusalem. Now Messiah can return.
But don't all the Jews have to return? Because that's a problem, because I have to come here every week, and it would be all the jet lag. I mean, haven't all the Jews got to go back?
Oh, Ash, no, they're not all going to go back, but many of them will, Ash. But listen, Ash, 2/3 of the Jewish people are going to die in the Great Tribulation. It's in Zechariah chapters 12, 13 and 14. Please read it tonight. 1/3 will be refined as pure silver. 70% of the world's population, Gentiles, is going to die under the coming judgment of God. And right now there are countries preparing to use nuclear tactical weapons.
We know
it's happening.
I know.
Yeah. Ken, it's always good to have you on the show. It's Andrew here. Give us a good message for Easter, because Easter's about hope and new beginnings and things like that. Give us something positive to think about.
Depressed, Ken.
I just give you the most positive word there, Andrew.
What, we're all going to die, most of us?
He that believeth on the Son has everlasting life.
Fantastic.
Man, you can't buy this, Andrew.
I don't know. Absolutely, it's fantastic, Ken. What are you going to do for Easter, Ken? Do you cook the lamb yourself?
No, I don't partake in the Passover meal, but Easter's an improper word. It's actually Passover.
Okay.
But you can't nick our festival. It's Passover.
Jesus is the Passover. He is the spotless lamb, Andrew.
So what do you do for Easter? What do you do for Easter, Ken?
Easter, I normally go to church. I go and tell as many people as I can about the love of God and that we're all called to repentance.
But you don't need to. They're already in church. They're probably all with you.
Well, that would be wonderful, Ash. But listen, Christianity is not a one Sunday service. Christianity is surrendering our life to Christ and following Him by His grace. See, this is all by God's grace, and God's grace is unlimited. Andrew, the question for you, Andrew, and Ash is this. When you die, gentlemen, and you're all going to die, where will you go, heaven or hell? Please.
I'm going to Witton in Birmingham.
Well, that's hell.
Near the Villa Ground.
No, it's lovely in Birmingham. We love it.
Not by
yes.
Witton, no.
Yes,
Andrew,
Ken.
where are you going when you die, Andrew?
Well, I hope I go to heaven, Ken, and I hope with your kind words you're going to help me get there. But I also believe, and this is what I believe that people who live a good life, and it's not just about going to an institution, to a building 1 hour a week, it's about how you live your life, isn't it? And if you knock on the pearly gates and you've lived your life in a good way, that's got to be good.
It doesn't work, does it, Ken?
Andrew, you'll never get into heaven by living a good life. We're all sinful.
Now you tell me. So
I can find Jesus.
Are
you religious, Andrew?
I think I am religious.
Do you believe in Jesus?
I do believe.
Well, there you go, Ken. He's all right then, isn't he?
No, it's not all
You've
right.
converted him. Hallelujah. You've done it, Ken.
No, I'm not all right. I've got to...
Andrew,
yes, Ken,
we've got to believe that Jesus the Messiah literally died for our sins in our place.
Yes.
You have to believe that to get to heaven.
But also this is the point I made beforehand, Ken, and this is why I think it's unfair. A lot of people tend to follow the religion of their parents. If you're brought up in a particular way, that's what you do. Yeah. And I think if somebody lives a good life, you spread a bit of happiness as opposed to the misery we all get. That's got to be good. And any God, any loving God, will turn around and think, actually,
Yeah.
you've lived your life in a good way, and therefore you're welcome in. That would be unfair otherwise, wouldn't it?
Ken, that's a good
You're
point.
wrong, Andrew. Andrew, my friend, I respect you and Ash and James Whale, but the word of God stands and will be your judge. Jesus said, unless a man is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Right now, there's 1.5 billion Muslims living under the wrath of God. They don't believe Jesus is the Son of God. All the Judaizers today in Israel are living under the wrath of God. All the Hindus, all the Sikhs, all the atheists are living under God's wrath.
So help me out here then, Ken, because it's always an interesting discussion. Those people who live their life to follow what tends to be their parents or their community, you tend not to jump from one religion to another. It's very rare that that happens. Those people who live their life according to their rules and regulations, they live a good life and treat people fairly, wouldn't it be unfair that they couldn't get into heaven?
The Bible says there are none that are good. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Andrew, do you believe God in the Bible?
Oh yes, no, but deal with my question there, Ken. Though, but on a sensible point. If you're turning around and people pray for other people, they pray that they can go to heaven and so on and so forth. If you have a God who's all loving and all caring and so on and so forth, people live a wonderful life. They follow the religion tends to be of their parents or their community. You tend not to jump out and say, I'm going to do this one today. What tends to happen? It would be unfair for them not to get to heaven, wouldn't it?
Andrew, Jesus, our Creator, declares in the Bible, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. Jesus.
But that's not very nice. If someone's been good all their lives, why should they burn in hell for eternity? If they've been good all their life.
If you refuse to believe Jesus is the Son of the living God, if you refuse to believe he died for your sins, you determine you go to hell, not God. It's your choice.
But why should people just take your word for it?
But this is
my word, Ash. It's the word of God.
No, sure. And so Ken, and it's interesting because you've got a very a very hard view, and others of the Christian faith had a more benevolent view. Let me put it that way. And if you live a good life and you treat people well and so on and so forth, and you're merely following what your community, what your family
doesn't matter.
say
You
is the
don't
way to
mind
go.
Jesus, you're going to hell anyway. Ken, look, you know he's not going to budge, is he? You're not going to convert him. He's converted you. Well done. Because what were you before? I think he was a Scientologist. Anyway, thanks, Ken. 03444991000. Got loads of calls. And we'll
Have a happy Christmas, Ken.
Merry Christmas, Easter.
I'm getting in there
Passover.
early. Absolutely.
Oh no, we've got a Jenny in Hants.
Hello, Jenny in Hants.
Hello. I would like to ask you, nothing to do with Easter, I'm sorry, but
That's all right.
I would like to ask you, how come this country has gotten such a state that we have so many human rights lawyers bleeding this country to I don't know. I mean, you don't mind if somebody can, say, well, I disagree and go back to court.
What lawyers like Andrew Eborn? It's because all our institutions have been captured and we're governed by so many laws that Tony Blair took our sovereignty away, and also when we joined the EU. So we've got the Supreme Court, which actually made a good decision, but, it's taken away our parliamentary sovereignty. The ECHR has taken away our own, the House of Lords as the highest court, and our parliamentary sovereignty. And all the institutions are captured. And if you don't toe the line there, and the police and the media in loads of places, you don't get on, and sometimes you get cancelled.
No, absolutely. What would you like to see changed? What would you like to see changed? What was that?
I said, why don't we turn around and say, well, stuff it up here, Jaxie, we're doing our law.
We can in 4 years, but we've got to wait 4 years. I don't think we've got time.
So what bits would you change specifically?
What would I change?
Yeah.
Well, stop people that come into this country and then say, oh, well, we can't return them. Oh, yeah, well, then we can plead to the courts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and the taxpayer's paying for it.
And then they get to stay anyway.
Dry.
And you're absolutely
dry.
So would you do what Trump is doing and say, right, it's an absolute prohibition. You come in here, you're out again, and actually all those who've come in here previously, we're going to get rid of you as well. Is that what you would do?
I would think anybody that comes here illegally, especially this lot on dinghies, you've hit the they don't hit the shores because we've got this.
They pick them up, don't they?
Yeah, pick them up. And we've got the border force that picked them up. So we're encouraging it.
Yeah. course, because you'd come here anyway. Look at all the adverts for the kids in the 4-star hotels. And Douglas Murray said, deport, deport, deport.
Very good, isn't it?
I would say deport, deport, deport.
Yes.
Once they're in...
Would you say deport?
Well, I think absolutely. I've said this before. What happens, and the reason Trump's resonates so well with the electorate there, is that people, when you've got problems at home, charity begins at home. You need to make sure that money is spent on the people here, so you don't have pensioners choosing between heating or eating. You don't have our veterans not being looked after in the way they should be looked after. You don't have problems with mental health and the NHS and so on and so forth.
We don't have two-tier,
two-tier justice
and
all of that rubbish should be stamped out, and you're absolutely right. If we get immigration right, it's the hot potato in all elections around the world, people who spoke out about it, they're the ones who got the vote, aren't they?
Yeah, I just find it. I mean, the last government was bad enough. They, kept their foot on the pedal and just bring them in. This government, I mean, come on, let's face it, they haven't got a clue.
Who would you vote for next time round?
Can we talk about that because of the elections coming up? No, we better not talk about that.
Send me a text.
Yeah, cough if you think no. 03444991000. It's the James Whale Show.
Great show.
Yeah, but it's me and Andrew Eborn taking your calls, until 1, so join us back in 2.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This.
Yeah, it's the James Whale Show on Talk. James has gone. It's me and Andrew Eborn taking your calls. Let's go straight to Jerry in Burton on Trent.
Hello, Jerry.
Go, Jerry.
Hi there, Andrew.
Hey. Yes.
I'd just like to ask, everyone talks about this trans debate in terms of female, in terms of male to female. If you think about it the other way round, there's less protestation.
It doesn't happen, and you don't get women who are former women entering and winning medals off men. I mean, it's so sexist, isn't it? I mean, and they won't go into. Well, some may go into men's spaces, but there's, like you say, it's one-sided, isn't it, Jerry?
Well, the odd thing is, when you saw that irrational, hyperventilating female with the, on Julia's
show, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she clearly just went with a mission.
Oh, you're absolutely. I reckon it was planned theatrics.
That's what Julia said, and it does
planned
seem so,
theatrics.
yeah.
And you use what you do. You use those clever little words like say, "I feel unsafe. I feel unsafe, and therefore
look at my
hands, I'm all sweaty with my palms, and therefore."
But also remember, she's a music DJ, so normally they only talk for 10 seconds, and they go, "And here's David Essex nightclubbing." So they're not used to it.
I bet she's never played a David Essex track in her life.
Show she loves it. So I mean, she didn't do very well in that way, did she?
They have no resilience, have they? And the thing is, I would so temptingly say to her, pull yourself together, you're a rational person. And, tell her off like
that would make her feel even more unsafe.
And I think you're right. What I love about this programme, we always try and welcome views and give people respect and so on and so forth. But to me, it did seem, if she was unsafe, then, they were unsafe, then absolutely we've got to be cautious about that sort of stuff. But what we try to do is give people a platform to air their views in a sensible way that we can have a sensible debate about it.
Which couldn't happen.
Does that make sense?
You see, I think the way it's a weird thing, but I think the way kids are brought up to be with their parents. They never learn resilience because they're always being posited. And I think they just don't know what boundaries
And schools as well, and look what they're taught at schools, and they're not disciplined. Since they got rid of capital punishment at schools, it's outrageous, isn't it? They're just running riot.
Absolutely, and they also need positive role models, don't they? I think the press tomorrow, they're talking about some of the negative role models. They talk about Andrew Tate and so on and so forth. A positive role model has got to be good, doesn't it?
Well, when do you actually hear these caring, loving people genuinely expressing compassion?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. But anyway, look, let's have a look at this clip. This is from Julia Hartley-Brewer's show yesterday on Run
My hands are
VT.
starting to sweat. Do you want to touch my hand? Just clammy now. And I actually think I'm about to have a panic attack from sitting in a room with you, so I'd like to leave now.
What?
Yeah.
So you're feeling...
Yeah,
you were asked to come on the show to have a conversation.
And I've had a conversation.
We had a very nice...
We've had a conversation.
Well, you read out a statement, and now I'd like to ask you some questions.
You read out your statement. You did at the beginning.
Out a statement. No, that's me introducing the topic for people who are just tuning in and explaining
you added your
what happened.
ad-libs. You got to say what you thought about it. I've said my piece, and now I'd really like to go.
I thought you were actually plugged into a mic there. I thought we were going to have a conversation.
I'd like to go.
You'd like to go? OK, I wouldn't want anyone to feel unsafe being asked questions, but I have a funny feeling that was what Shivani Dave was planning to do all along.
Yeah. And they don't have a plug-in microphone, so she wasn't used to that. But that's what happened yesterday. You know, she just walked out. It did look a bit set up, didn't it? But this is what's happening now with a lot of these people up and down the country. They're all throwing their toys out the pram. It's a bit like they act like children. Well, it's a bit like Brexit when they left Brexit. They're still going on. They're like toddlers crying, banging the floor. You know what I mean? It's terrible.
They achieved what they wanted to achieve, which is that clip is going around all the time, being repeated.
It's not looking good. That was Shivani Dave, by the way.
Yeah, Shivani Dave, absolutely. And as we say,
it doesn't make them look good.
No, as we say, what happens here on Talk, we like to give everybody a platform to talk about things in a logical and traditional way. And the traditional way is actually just being open to listening to both sides.
Sunlight is the best disinfectant.
P.T. Barnum said, if you want to draw a crowd, start a fight.
Leaves on horseback.
It was clear. Clearly, that sort of stuff. Have you done the bingo cards yet?
We're going to get some more, aren't we?
You're very good. Are you still on the line?
No.
Oh, it's gone? OK, well, fantastic.
Well.
Great point, though. Great point.
Paula.
Hello, Paula.
Hello, guys.
Hi, hey. What's going on, man?
Hey, Ash, you're looking dapper tonight.
He does look dapper, doesn't he?
Sure that's not Andrew?
Hey.
You're looking proper dapper.
Thank you. Thanks, man. Is that what you wanted to say?
I'd marry you tonight.
Yeah. Oh, marry? There you go.
Just for the night?
Yeah, tonight.
All right, yeah.
Right, listen. What is 10 on the... Why did you give 10 so much airtime? He's off his rocker, man.
Well, you might go to hell for saying that. Do you believe in Jesus?
I actually do.
You hesitated.
I don't have a particular religion like
Well, if you believe in Jesus, you're Christian.
Walking around with a sandwich board on my back saying, "Hey, listen here, Jesus,
you don't have to do
Jesus, that."
Yes. I think we were having an interesting discussion with Ken, because I think it's unfair. Be interesting to hear your view, because if somebody follows a particular religion, it tends to be about their family and so on and so forth, and they live a good life. It's unfair to send them to hell, isn't it?
Oh, they don't send him to bloody hell. He's off his head, man.
Well, that's right. But you do get allotted your religion by your parents.
Exactly,
in the main,
and the community, and most people don't get exposed to the other things. So I just think it's unfair.
Who talks like that in this day and age?
Ken does.
In fact, Christianity is rising. There's a big rise in Christianity over the few years.
Yeah, in difficult times, what happens is religion tends to spike. You tend to hope for some sort of optimistic future, and you're looking for that sort of side. So a lot of people do get driven to religion, whatever that might be, in difficult times. And we're living in difficult times, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. But it chirps on and it chirps on and chirps on. And
yeah, but Paula, imagine no religion. It's easy if you try, isn't it?
I thank you. Can you sing that?
There's no hell below us and above us. So imagine no possessions. I mean, John Lennon, imagine no possessions. He had more possessions than anyone. He had 3 flats in the Dakota building. He had about 100 cars. He loved his possessions.
John Lennon, he was a hero.
Oh, he's brilliant.
A working class hero, although he was a bit middle class because he lived with his aunt Mimi.
Rat on your jewellery, I love it.
Ringo was the real working class.
It's how it turned out.
Yes.
All right, Paula. Thanks.
Lovely to hear you, Paula. And we'll organise that date with Ash later, yeah?
Yeah. Right, now we're going to talk to Anna McGovern, who's a spokeswoman for Women's Safety Initiative. Anna says the biggest issue facing women today is the threat of mass immigration. She's launched the Women's Safety Initiative to support victims and empower women to speak out about the daily abuse and harassment that they suffer. Hi, Anna.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Anna. Lovely to see you again.
So you've launched this thing today. It's called the Women's Safety Initiative, and you've had personal experience of things, and it's basically women out and about are getting more hassle, and you think a lot of it, well, I think it is proven in other countries, but they won't give us the figures, but it's coming from people from other cultures.
So Jess Gill launched it. I'm the operations. There's a group of women that have all come together, and it's essentially about the threat of mass migration in the UK and protecting women, putting women first, and standing up for victims. So we're hearing so much more now of, like, even women that I speak to every day. They have similar stories where, like, for example, my personal experience where I was in town and I was approached by 6 or 7 Just Eat Deliveroo drivers, and who were filming me and trying to come up to me while I was working, and I was also followed home from work late at night by someone who tried to grope me from behind, and it took 2 years to get any justice from that, and there were several women who were also targeted in the area, so this is becoming an increasing problem.
Yeah, and women just won't go out now at night. It's actually imprisoned women in their own homes. They can't get public transport late at night in London. It's probably like that it's all over the country. It's like that, and it literally does happen to you regularly, doesn't it? Well, every now and then, which it never did before.
So this is why the Women's Safety Initiative has been formed. It's to bring women together and to, raise awareness of this important issue, because it's becoming such a big problem in the UK. And I think as well, the concern is for women is that it's not necessarily politically correct to talk about these issues, but that's why we formed together. We're getting increasing support. We launched on 2 days ago on the 6th
I saw
of April.
that.
We've had over 1 million impressions already,
Good
over
heavens.
8,000 followers, and we're almost about to hit £2,000 on our donation link. So we've had so much support from everyone who really strongly believe in this message, and what we're trying to do, raise awareness of this.
And as you say, you had some harrowing experience. You've been very open about that, and you sent round. I also received your email talking about your own personal experience. In terms of what you hope to achieve, other than raising awareness, what do you want to happen? You say in your particular example, it took 2 years to deport the person who sexually assaulted you. What are you hoping to achieve?
Well, I think for many of these women, they have similar stories like I do, and I think for a start, raising awareness is incredibly important. Having these conversations, bringing them to light, and we want to hold those in power to account, because I think too often in the media and by certain authorities, women's voices are being silenced. You won't necessarily hear these stories.
Well, they cover up, don't they, with the statistics? I mean, are you going to try and get the statistics of, which migrants, how much the percentage of sexual assaults other European countries have? I know there was a police release some data, but it's not really detailed. How are you going to get all that stuff? Because that's really necessary, isn't it?
Well, one key statistic that we've reported on and brought forward, so 1 in 4 sex crimes are committed by foreign nationals. Right. And I think what we're trying to do, we're going through all of the statistics, the stories that are being told by women, and we're bringing them to light and holding these people responsible to account as well. I think there's power in numbers as well, and the women that have been coming forward, they've been bringing really powerful stories, talking about their own experiences, and that's what we're planning to do with this organisation.
What about the rape gang victims? Are you concerning yourselves with that? I know Jess deals a lot with that. What's going on with that? Because that needs to be stamped out, and people need to be chucked in prison for this. People, not just that, politicians and other people who are just as guilty in a way, who've covered it up.
Exactly, and again, that's what we're trying to do, because I think there's been so many failures from those in power who've been covering this up, clamping down on those things, and we need those to come to light. There needs to be a national inquiry on the grooming gangs, and that's something that we're really pushing for as well, and it's really about putting those people to account. So we've got a number of things in the plans as well over the next few months, which will be announcing very soon. which we're very excited about. And,
and all credit to you and to Jess and doing this brilliant thing. I mean, you highlight in particular the uncontrolled immigration. I mean, that seems to be the biggest thrust of what you're saying. There are obviously other issues, as Ash mentions, about the rape gangs and so on and so forth. In terms of specific initiatives, other than raising awareness, what do you want this government to do?
Well, I think for a start, I think raising awareness on those issues is incredibly important, because what we're seeing from those authorities, those in power, is that they're clamping down on those stories. So that's what we're trying to do, bring this together, hold these people to account. I think that's incredibly important. And we want answers. We want women's voices to be heard, because they're being particularly affected by this. And we want to give them a platform so they can share those stories, and also support victims as well of these sex crimes. That's what we want to do.
Have you got Maggie Oliver involved? I mean, you know, it's all very well saying we want a national investigation. We don't really need one. We know what's gone on all up and down the country. Really, we need a police unit set up nationwide, and go and do arrests to get in there, investigate from there. Forget a whole long...
I think, and this is why people said about not having a report. It's no good just talking about it. And I think you're right. It's brilliant that you've had 1 million people responding to an excellent cause. Telling people we want a specific change. As you say, you highlight in your brilliant circular which you sent round about uncontrolled immigration. That seemed to be the biggest sort of resonance, if you like, in terms of what you're saying. Specifically, what do you want to happen? You're raising awareness. You're doing that brilliantly on Talk. We've got a brilliant, massive audience here listening to you and agreeing with every word you've said. We're talking about the government specifically. What do they need to do?
Well, I think they need to get control of immigration. We're seeing skyrocketing amounts of immigration into this country. It is putting people at risk. And what we're seeing as well, you know, when you import certain cultures that don't respect women, it's putting women at risk, putting them in danger, putting them, you know, they're becoming victims of these crimes. And what we want to do is we want to say a clear message to the government. They need to get control over this, because it's putting people in danger. So that's what we're planning to do.
So you would have a 100% restriction on anybody else coming in?
So, sorry, what do you mean by that?
Well, in terms of, you talk about uncontrolled immigration. It's a hot topic. We touched
we had
it
600 in one day and then 700 the next day.
And so you've got so much support. Everybody agrees. We had a caller earlier, Paula, I think it was, turning around and saying, absolutely, it's wrong that we've got all these people. They would send all the illegal people back. But it's not just the illegal ones, is it? Are you also saying that the legal ones shouldn't be here?
1 million a year.
Well, yeah, what we're saying is that immigration levels have gone a skyrocketing high amount. And it's gone completely out of control. Our services are struggling to cope as it is.
Yes.
And it's putting people in danger. So what we're saying to the government very clearly is that they need to get a handle over this. I think the current Labour government in power, I really don't think I
Well, they're covering themselves, because it would be like Turkey. It's like asking these councils to investigate. It's like asking a murderer to say, can we arrest you? And you know what I mean? These are captured institutions and politicians. But I mean, there's a glimmer of light with that decision at the Supreme Court. And are you thinking now there's a pivot point and things will begin to change with that decision? And what do you think of the decision?
Firstly, I thought the decision was incredible for women. I think it's an incredibly important move that we had, especially, you know, finally, I think we're seeing some good policy actually put in action, and actually seeing, you know, protecting biological women. You know, in sports, for example, you've got men who are going into those spaces. You've got women who train for years at the top of their field to be the very best that they do, then getting trumped over by men who have that, you know, biological power over them. So finally, we're making steps forward in protecting those spaces, and I think it's incredibly important.
No, it's very good. Go back to your statistic, because it's an alarming statistic. About 1 in 4 sex crimes are committed by foreign nationals, is what you claim.
Much higher than the proportion
That's from the Telegraph. That was reported on the Telegraph.
You got that in the Telegraph. So those are the statistics that you've worked on that sort of basis. But you're talking about foreign nationals, so it's not just about illegal immigration. What are you proposing to do about foreign nationals?
So, as I said, so that was the 1 in 4 that statistic that came up. That was from the Telegraph and reported, and they've done a very in-depth breakdown. So if anyone wants to look that up, they've actually gone into detail about where they've got those statistics from. It came from a Freedom of Information request. So what we're very clearly saying is that immigration has gone out of control in this country. It is putting women at risk.
1 in 27 people in this country have only been here 2 years or less.
Well, I'm so sorry. What did you say?
1 in 27 of people in Britain have been here 2 years or less. They're not British nationals. So, you know, I mean...
Yeah, and I think so the statistics, they really do speak for themselves. So that's what we're doing. We're raising awareness, we're going through these statistics, and we're also bringing forward women's stories so they get their voices heard. And I think it's incredibly important to keep bringing these issues to light.
Sure. So we go back to the central point, though, Jess, is that what's happening on this sort of basis? Anna, and Jess as well would be listening very carefully.
Yeah. All right, Jess.
You're saying 1 in 4 foreign nationals. Obviously, they're still here, the foreign nationals. Yeah. Are you taking it further and saying we should get rid of them?
Deport, as Douglas Murray said.
I mean, if you commit a sex crime in this country, you should be deported. I think that's a very clear message. If you know, foreign rapists, you should be deported.
What about people who just won't accept British culture, who want to see people, you know, gay people executed? People who don't have British culture, shouldn't they be? They shouldn't really be here, should they?
Well, I think what the problem is that when you import people from different cultures, you don't have the, you know, for example, I think what we've also said as well is these cultures don't have the same respect for women. So that's why we're seeing these problems increase. And yeah, I think so back to what I originally said as well. Yes, if you commit a crime in this country, if you commit a sex crime, absolutely you should be deported, no question about that.
And have you, Anna, have you had any pushback from people who talk about immigration being the biggest threat to women's safety? Because that's your message, isn't it?
Well, at the moment, we've been inundated with support. The support has been overwhelming, and it's become even bigger in the last 2 days than we possibly imagined, which has been so incredible. And I can imagine there will be pushback, but what we're focused on is going through the statistics, going through the facts, and we'll keep sharing those stories.
Thanks, Anna. Well, that's Anna McGovern, who's
good to see you, Anna,
with Jess Gill and the Women's Safety Initiative. So give us a ring, 034449991. Thanks, Anna. This is Talk. It's a James Whale show. It's me and Andrew Eborn. James just gone. He'll be here next week, and we'll be back in about a minute and a half.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's Talk. It's a James Whale show. It's me and Andrew Eborn. We've got loads of calls. Just going to keep taking your calls. But 03444991000. There's the number. But let's start with Hertfordshire Bob. Robert in Hertfordshire.
Hello, Robert.
Good evening, guys.
Good evening.
Hey.
Easter, happy Passover.
Thanks, mate.
Happy Passover to you too.
And Easter, although Ken says it's Passover as well. Yeah.
Both.
Yeah. May your God go with you, as Dave Allen used to say.
Yeah, good. Well, we love that, didn't we? Yeah. Well remembered.
I'm gonna lighten the mood by telling you a humorous story. Now, it's not as rude as you think it's going to be. So don't
what a shame. There you go then.
Right. A couple of years ago, me and my wife decided to spice up our sex life. So we decided to experiment and investigate dogging. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, now, let me just explain for people who don't know. Dogging is going out to sort of various sort of fields and car parks, and other people like to make love while other men, mainly, and women stand around the car because you put your interior lights on it. Am I right, Bob?
You know a lot about it, though.
I just read it on Wikipedia.
Yeah, Ash is the chihuahua of dogging.
Right, well,
what happened was
we turned up at this disused car park in Essex.
Yes.
And there was a group of guys there, And by the time my wife parked the car, they all got fed up and went home.
No. There you go. Thank you. Thank you.
He's here all
Manning
week.
is
He's here all
alive
week,
and
yeah.
well. It's got to be good. That was brilliant. There we go. We love all that
Anything
sort of
else,
stuff.
Bob?
We remember the 70s.
Have you got any more material?
Well, no, yeah. Well, yeah. God bless Bernard Manning. What it was, I mean, I'm a published writer, 4 times published, and
Yes.
I often worry that if the police ever come and take my laptop away,
Yes.
I've googled so many dodgy things at a purpose, and I've done a story.
Keep him on the line. I'll get a trace.
No, it wasn't. I write sort of horror stories, tales of the uneasy sort of thing.
Tales of the uneasy, yes.
Is it a good publishers, or did you just print it? You know, one of those self-publishing. I mean, how many books have you sold?
Do you know what? I've got 5 books out, and I've never ever.
Literally, you've just got 5 books out
from the library.
Yeah.
No, I've never collected my royalties. That's not why I did it.
Why? I mean, is it just
Well,
not
you've
worth?
got to collect
Is it just
royalties.
not worth it?
Well, it's not that. As soon as you start collecting royalties, I mean, I'm retired now. The tax man gets involved. I did try.
Yeah, but
and
you
do
get
it.
some of it. What you mean? It's better just to.
It's not, tax isn't 100%.
Doesn't make sense, Bob.
Yeah, but you know, the most important thing is to retain your copyright.
Absolutely.
Well, no, you got to get the money from it. That's. I mean, well, look at J.K. Rowling. If she did that,
Rolling, as in bowling.
She
Absolutely.
wouldn't rolling.
As in bowling. I know you're right. As you know, I'm an intellectual property lawyer, a copyright lawyer.
Yeah,
Copyright,
you need any free advice?
Sorry, I don't know about free. Copyright is so important. You must get your royalties for your work. You must get recognised for your work.
What's your main book called, Bob?
I've turned down a good couple of publishing deals because I wouldn't give it a slice of my copyright.
Oh, okay.
So what's your best book called?
Tell us about your books and how we can find them.
No, because it means I've got to give you my second name. So
I mean, you're not very good at publicising yourself, Bob. You
I've made
need.
this phone call to
No, you don't. Well, no point. You don't collect the royalties.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just enjoy writing it. Good. And
We've got Harper Collin downstairs.
We have.
We'll speak to Colin later, see if he's interested.
Harper's
Anyway,
the one to speak to.
Thanks,
Take care,
Robert.
thanks.
Grace Peterborough.
Hello, Grace.
Hello, Andrew. Hello, Ash.
All right. What's up, man?
What a lovely, cheerful voice.
I can't be as sprightly and wonderful as Rob's stories. I'm going to be controversial.
Good.
I was listening to every week. I hear
Ken.
Oh, what's his name? The religious one.
Ken. Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. Telepathy.
His boards about in the background and
Yes.
what have you.
Yeah.
Anyway, I listen to him and I just think to myself, and as I say, I'm controversial. I'm not religious. I've never found a God or had one talk to me.
Yes.
I do follow 9 of the commandments.
Oh, which is the one you don't?
No, I don't do the God worshipping bit.
Oh, I
All
see.
the
You do the
others.
other 9. That's good. 9 out
I
of 10.
don't think it says you. I don't think it says you got to worship God. Just says don't take God's name in vain. Do you take God's name in vain, Grace?
I occasionally swear a bit. I must
there you go.
admit.
There you go.
But I don't mean anything by it. I don't, The only other thing, my mother had her own philosophy, and I must have followed it, because she was saying about parents teaching their children.
Yes.
And she always thought that Jesus was a political activist.
Oh, okay. I think that's interesting.
What he did was so opposite to the Romans.
You mean like Jeremy Corbyn, maybe a bit like.
I don't think she
That would be blasphemy. Could you?
God forbid.
What party would he be in? What would he be?
You can't talk about that. There's an election on.
Yeah, you're right. We can't talk about
Purder most foul.
Is Jesus standing?
I thank you.
He'd be in the Green Party, wouldn't he? Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, I think so. And also, not wanting any sympathy, I developed type 1 diabetes at 2.
At 2? Okay.
And at 2, yes, I'm afraid.
I'm not going to give you sympathy for it.
No, I don't want any sympathy.
I know, that's why I'm not doing. Otherwise, I would have.
I'm still here, and I'd be on for.
So because that's what you get when you've. Some people are born with it, and it can be very hard because you've got to watch. I know someone who did it, and they went nearly blind. Have you had any physical effects with your blood system?
Loads. I fight them. No, I was just going to say that with being a child with it, and even as an adult occasionally, you pass out if you don't get your food.
Yeah,
and
but
your
that happened to a bloke on the tube. He sort of slumped and he sort of looked like a drunk guy in a suit. And as he sort of went to sleep, he went, I'm diabetic. So I panicked, and the doors opened. It was a full tube. I pulled the thing down, the emergency, and there was a doctor there, and they just shoveled these
sugar lumps. Is it?
Yeah, sugar. Has anyone got chocolate?
Tell us
and
what.
Someone had been at the gym and they had the dextrose tablets.
Is that what you do?
And I saved his life, and I saved another suicider at 2 in the morning.
Did you?
I saved lots of people's lives.
Ash has saved.
Yeah, I'm a lifesaver. I talked her off jumping off Blackfriars Bridge at 2 in the morning. Just me. I walked there and there's this girl just standing literally on the edge. Like it was horrendous.
That's really good. I was going to say that,
bit like Jesus.
One of these turns, you're out cold.
Right.
And I've nearly died.
Yeah.
So therefore...
It's very serious.
I didn't find any heaven or gates or anything.
Oh, you didn't go through a tunnel? Because some people talk about going through a tunnel and seeing light, and you saw none of that.
You just go to sleep.
Right.
Do you wear one of those bracelets? Because if you ever see anyone unconscious, always check their wrists or necklace, because it'll say I'm diabetic, and you just have to stick a bit of sugar in.
So you might tonight, apart from Ash being able to save lives, you might be able to help to save lives. If somebody comes across somebody who's diabetic, firstly, what should they do?
We're not giving medical advice.
Not giving medical advice, but
don't assume they're drunk. Get an ambulance.
Don't just shove Mars bars.
They're drunk.
Don't assume they're drunk.
Yeah, exactly. This bloke looked like drunk, but as he fainted, he went, I'm diabetic.
Okay. You're right, we're not giving medical advice, but what's the best thing? Do you normally carry something around with you? Do you carry
They always do.
And sugar and glucose, so I have to be careful.
You should always carry some sugar around, because this guy hadn't. But my dad had diabetes type 2, and you'd always have a bit of chocolate with you.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need something faster. Glucose is the fastest.
Okay.
But, just ring for an ambulance. Don't try and do anything. Make them comfy or move them, or just say, it's drunk, and walk away from them. Just ring an ambulance.
Well, most importantly, get sugar in their mouths, isn't it, really? Because glucose absorbs in the mouth. It's the only thing that doesn't need to go through the system.
Glucose is the best.
Straight in the mouth membrane.
It depends how much insulin they've tanked up and how out of kilter they are. So really, just if you've got glucose or they have any, see what you can do, but ring an ambulance.
Any sugar, any chocolate, if you haven't got glucose, is vital, really. Anyway, thanks, Grace.
Lovely to hear from you.
Let's go to Elif in South Wales.
Oh, Elif, you phoned in before. Hello, Elif.
Certainly, gentlemen, and thank you, Andrew and Ash, for taking the call this evening.
Lovely to have you back.
I want to touch bases on immigration again with you.
Yes.
Yeah, what do you want to say?
Could I make an inquiry with Andrew Ash without
not really
cutting you out on the conversation? With regards to the legal side of things with immigrants coming here, why is it so hard to go through cutting out this European court ruling where we can't send them back?
No, you're absolutely right, and we need to get out of that sort of side. I think
Tony Blair bound it to our own law, didn't he?
Exactly. So you're quite right, and what I always say is that whatever the current legal position, we need people to speak out like you did and like you did last time you called in, because that way we get the certainty in the law, just in the same way as the Supreme Court made that very sensible decision saying your sex is determined by your biology at birth. Some of these things need to be stated to get that sort of certainty. But you're right, we need to cut that out. We had, basically, Anna was on a bit earlier, I don't know if you heard her, she was saying that is the root cause of a lot of problems for women. Some people might say that there are other issues that women have to deal with, and you shouldn't just focus on immigration.
But it's gone up very much so with that. There is a link. There is a link.
You should be aware of it. In answer to your question, we need to make sure we get that certainty. We need to make sure that there aren't always loopholes that people can keep going through. And lawyers, my profession, well, obviously they're there to do whatever's best for their client, and they will exploit those loopholes for the benefit of their clients.
Anyway, I think we've got to take another breaky, but after the break, I want you to answer this question, Andrew, because this court's decision, it wasn't making a new law, it was clarifying the law. So they should all be able to go back retrospectively, and these nurses that were sacked
we're going to go through all
loads
of that.
and loads of courts. So we'll be back talking about that and your calls in about a minute.
We love you.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
It's Talk, the James Wells Show, but he's gone home. He'll be back next week from 10 p.m. But before the break, I wanted to clarify something. Like the Supreme Court clarified this law that a woman is a woman and a man is a man, but it wasn't a new law. So basically, they're saying everyone got it wrong before. So is there going to be legal recourse to these sports bodies like the FA? I mean, there was a girl there's been lots of women injured in football, in boxing. There was two men in the pool final. Are all they going to be able to claim the prize money? People have ruined their athletics careers. I mean, this is a billions and billions of pounds. Can they go retrospective? Surely they can.
Well, it's very interesting. I mean, the Supreme Court ruling is a victory for women's safety, and we've spoken about that sort of side. A couple of things on that, and I've raised this. I was on with the brilliant Kevin O'Sullivan on his show.
Oh, the brilliant one. He is good, that one.
As opposed to the dull one. It's very good. But the reality is this: sporting bodies have their own rules and regulations. So the IOC, for example, the International Olympic Committee, when they were talking about boxing, they said that the entry criteria is determined by what it says on somebody's passport.
But all the boxing boards that used to run it for the Olympics pulled out because they know that's ridiculous.
Absolutely, but this is about the rules and regulations. What will now have to happen, the two big issues of this, is one about women's safety. Women should have safe spaces, and you shouldn't have somebody who was born a biological man in a woman's space. You absolutely need that, and that's going to be about changing rooms and so on and so forth. You're going to have women-only spaces in hospitals, women-only spaces in prisons and so on and so forth. All of that's got to be relevant. The other thing on the sporting side, the sporting bodies now have to realise that it shouldn't be determined by your passport. It needs to follow the relevant regulations.
Yeah, but there's a major problem there. The IOC isn't governed by the Supreme Court of the UK. It's worldwide. Would you think the world will follow? They don't have to follow at the moment.
No,
what does the British team do?
Well, this is very simple, and I think you've got to look at the reasons why you have the differences in the relevant sports. And they quoted about the snooker or whatever it is. They said, well, hang about, it's the same. You're playing tiddlywinks.
No, you need strength to control the cue ball.
All that sort of stuff. The reality is this: the reason there's a difference in sport is that people who are born a man tend to be a lot stronger. And as you're right,
and they have better vision because they're hunters, evolved for hunting. Women who are gathering.
And the classic example of that is people who've transed from being a woman to a man. You don't see so many of those winning men's sports. So there is an issue. What's happened is about respecting everybody in the conversation. So absolutely, and I understand lots of people that I know in our profession have transitioned, and absolutely respect all of that.
You look great on it.
I thank you. I do. See, thank you. It's Kenny Everett. I love it. The reality is this: it's about respect for everybody in the conversation, and that also means respect for biological women as well. There has to be safety. They need to be in a safe space. We had Anna bravely speaking up about women's rights and so on and so forth. She focused on immigration. There are other issues as well that need to be looked at. This whole debate has moved on apace as a result of the Supreme Court decision.
Yeah,
we have that clarity.
Can these women retrospectively sue? They've lost their careers, some of them. They've lost pride, even at small levels. They've been injured. Can they claim retrospectively?
I think that everybody should be. The reality is they're going to turn around and say, well, it was a bit fuzzy beforehand, is the reality.
So they'll argue.
They'll argue. But I think that what we should do is focus on the way forward. It's about respect for the conversation. Still respect those who are going through the difficulties of not determining they're not in the right body. That is a difficulty. It's an issue. But what's now happening is it shouldn't derogate or denigrate other people's rights. And so everybody's got a right to be respected, but it mustn't have an impact on other people's rights.
But it already had an impact on those women's careers who would have made a lot of money, and they haven't. So don't they have a recourse to the FA? Because it was ridiculous, the actual, it was obvious that a woman is a woman and a man is a man. Yes. Should they be able to argue that, it was a bit of a grey area just because all these institutions
it wasn't a grey area, and I'll tell you why it wasn't
exactly, that's what I'm saying.
It wasn't a grey area. So, two things, is that the sporting regulations, that's why I quoted the IOC, because people talk about the Olympics and the boxing there.
She nearly got killed, that boxing woman.
But the person who won would say that actually this ruling wouldn't change at all, because they had this strange XY chromosome difficulties.
Well, no, it just didn't have testicles external. And in the country they were from, they didn't have the medical thing to look at that and see. So they were brought up a girl. I feel sorry for them, but they are male.
It's an interesting categorisation, because that one, they would say the biological birth, they said that that particular person was classified as a girl.
Because in that country they didn't look in... They
absolutely.
weren't advanced like here.
So it's a grey area. So we get the certainty on this brilliant Supreme Court ruling, which is absolute common sense has prevailed, to the strange rules and regulations for the different sporting bodies, which turn around and say, well, we're determining it by your passport. If that's the rule for entry, we need to look at that again. Go back to the central point on this is go back to the reasons we had the distinction between men and women's sport, and the reasons that tends to be strength. And the argument on that, they'll say, making sure, however, even more important than that, and it is even more important, is about women's safety, and men should not be in women's spaces. Full stop.
You say common sense has prevailed. Do you think this is a pivot point and we're going to have common sense with the net zero, that's killing old people and people can't afford food and low two-tier justice? Is it going to be a pivot point? Are we going to see other Supreme Court cases?
It's interesting. A lot of people peddle common sense. The reality is common sense is not so common.
It's a cereal, I thought.
Thank you. It's got to go. I used to be on a show with the wonderful Esther McVeigh. You might remember she was the minister.
Yeah.
I used to every week do the Andrew Born's Greatest Writs, the legal
great,
side
actually,
there.
Esther,
She's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But she was the minister for common sense. And we also had a number of people, that sort of stuff. But that's the reality. We need to peddle common sense. We need to get back to a stage where we are free to talk about these things. Because in the past, you get people arrested for tweets where you're raising sensible issues, and people get shut down.
People are scared. I mean, now are you going to? Because you could get arrested for misgendering as a hate crime. Is that out the window now? Well, can you say here, or is it still an offence and a hate crime?
Well, the reality is those hate crimes will still apply. I mean, that's the issue.
So you see, it's confusing. Some people might go out and say, well, now I can, and they end up getting arrested.
No, and absolutely. And what we need to do is address those. And there's the scandal, and it is an absolute scandal about this two-tier justice, where you get people locked away for tweets as opposed to people still roaming the streets on issues that we haven't spoken about. So well done, Anna, today to raise a particular issue. It's not just about immigration, though, I hasten to add, because you're going to just start xenophobia and so on and so forth. It is about making sure about safety. It's absolutely
well, it is a lot
apparent.
about people who you know, the statistics don't lie. We're seeing it all over Europe. There is a lot more with people who are coming who don't respect
Disraeli would disagree with you. Lies, damn lies and statistics.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. But the reality is that we need to look at it, focus on an issue. It is an issue. Well done for Anna and Jess for calling it out.
It's great news.
Have a look at that sort of stuff. Immigration is not the only issue. It's an important thing to look at, but we need to work on the other bases as well.
OK, yeah, well, it's Talk to James Wells Show, 03444991000. It's Talk, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Me and Andrew will go over the papers and your calls.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
It's Passover. I'm just pouring this out and I'll take it home and I'll have it Sunday night after Passover with me paschal lamb. No, I won't have it. They can't have milk. And no, so I've got myself in a right bother. Anyway, it's a James
I could have some. I'll have the spare stuff. It's
Ken
good.
says it's Passover for you as well. So
that's all right. It's chocolate. I'm following the diabetic advice.
And it's an Easter egg, isn't it?
It is an Easter egg.
Well, and it says it on the top, interesting, so when it's stacked, it won't say it.
Is that right?
Yeah, look, it says cream egg, doesn't say Easter, and then on the top, just quietly. It's like they're embarrassed that
but
it's
where
Easter.
are the cream eggs? This has got no cream eggs.
James took all them.
He nicked the middle bits.
Yeah, James let he have them. Anyway, yeah, it's 03444991000. It's me and Andrew Ebel. It's a James Wells Show. He's gone home, but he'll be back next week. Let's go. Back to your
it's great to have him. Great to have James.
It was great to have him, and it was great to see him. Jason in Leicestershire.
Hello, Jason.
Oh, no, we're talking to Luan in the Netherlands.
Luan!
Hello.
Breda.
Hello, boys. Hello. You know something? Thank you for being such gentlemen tonight.
That's all right, yeah, no problem. We do every time.
No, but the point is, what a day. And I'll tell you something. You know something? Happy Easter, by the way.
Happy Easter, Luan.
Happy Easter.
Hi, Andrew.
How are you? Lovely to hear from you.
You know something? I'm phoning in from... I'm Scottish, by the way, but I live in the Netherlands.
In Amsterdam, are you?
I'll tell you something. We had such a lovely day here because it was the flower market here.
Oh, we love the flower
market. Are you in
Amsterdam,
Maastricht, Rotterdam? Where are you?
I'm in Groningen.
Groningen.
Is there such a place?
Yeah.
Yes. Groningen, yeah.
Groningen.
Yeah.
Right? But you know something? My friend phoned, she said, phone your mother and tell her that you can go on the webcam, do have a look at the Grotemarkt at Groningen.
Yes, beautiful.
Did she Groningen?
Shut up.
Yes, shut up, Ash.
Yes, good you say, because James isn't here to tell me that.
James is not here to tell him all.
Yeah.
Don't be stupid.
Yes,
well,
he can't help that.
Can't help it.
You two, do you know something? I just love boys' humour.
Ah.
Do you know that?
Naughty boy.
And you know something? The saddest thing that I've heard today is...
Yes.
It's really a horrible story, but I'll try and be... That's not how you spell my name, by the way.
No, I didn't think it was.
It's L-U-A-N. It's
L-U-A-N. Come on.
L-U-A-N. You've spelt it wrong.
No, they've had a vowel movement in the gallery.
By the way,
L-U-A-N.
Luan, Rutger Hauer came from Groningen.
Hey, listen, do you know who I was named after?
You were named after Luan, I reckon.
No, I was named after Luan Andrews.
Ah, there you go. Julie's sister.
Who's that?
Wait, Andrew, do you know who she was?
Who was she?
A page 3 model.
Oh, really?
And I've got the smallest breasts that you've ever seen.
Ah.
That's karma for you.
That's the joke of the matter. Anyway, getting back to the point.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
You know something? We need to be grateful for our lives today. Do you realise, breaking news while you two are doing this TV thing, Vladimir Putin, listen to this, it said, anyone that's a Christian is welcome in Russia.
Right.
Green card, go in. And I'll tell you something, I just listened to a father, a Dutch father. He's a father of 5 children.
Right.
Girls. We've got the problem of the problem.
Yeah, you've got it like over there. You've got girls getting attacked over there as well.
Terrible. And he started crying, and I broke down in tears as well. He said, "There's no help for us here."
Yeah.
No.
And we have to keep talking out about it. I mean, this is the point we were saying with Anna, is absolutely, the more you can shine a spotlight on it, the better. So what's the word you would say, because we have audiences around the world, the Netherlands government will be watching this. What would you like them to do?
I just think that men need to be men and women need to be women. And I'm the motherly type and you're the fatherly type. And that's all we need to do. The men need to stand up. You know what I mean? Just be men.
Yeah.
I mean, you drive the buses and you do the bins and I do the cooking and I do the cleaning.
Well, nobody does the bins in Birmingham. That's the problem.
Some people go, "Oh, that's sexist," wouldn't
well,
they?
No, but it's. I mean, you're raising a very interesting point. I think it's also about respect, isn't it? Because
yes.
And I think that's important.
And respect for that way of life. You know, it used to be that the working man could support a whole family.
Yeah.
Then they brought women in, lowered the wages, raised the house prices.
And sort it.
But also, I think the important thing is this: is that we talk about equality, but you have to have about a meritocracy. And in a meritocracy, we should be blind to colour, sex, religion.
Well, because
all
not only that, I
side.
mean, if you look at pilots and they go, "Oh dear, I've got a half women, half men," but you know, say you've got 10,000 men who are trained as pilots and only 3,000 women, you're statistically and scientifically not going to get the best people, and you'll end up with plane crashes, and you'll end up with terrible people in terrible jobs. Same with race diversity. Like Andrew says, you just want the best people for all the jobs.
Best people.
Andrew, how long have you been married for?
I've been married for a very long time. I was
25 minutes.
A teenage bride.
Shut up.
Over a quarter of a century, can you believe it? I was a teenage husband.
Yeah.
Well, my mum and dad have been married since 1972.
Very good. And they're still
my
together?
dad retired at 49.
Right.
Now, here's the point. I'm an economist, by the way.
Oh, OK, congratulations.
Like Rachel Reeves is economist.
Congratulations,
Or a copper economist.
No, it's an absolute plague.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say to you is we really need to get down to the nitty-gritty here.
Yes.
There's a place for men and there's a place for women.
Yeah, but we can't. We've got the government for the next 4 years. We haven't really time. What is your suggestions with that? Because Keir Starmer's not going to think that way. And he's
I would like to say to you, just for noticing people.
Yes.
And this is really important. I've tried to get this out for at least 2 weeks now.
OK.
My mobile phone bill, how exciting is this?
Come on then.
It used to be €1,200 a month.
Wow.
I phone the UK to get to my cousin.
Yes.
Why don't you use like a WhatsApp or another online service?
No, but my cousin doesn't have WhatsApp. But it cost me, I was nearly bankrupted, spending this money.
Yes.
Of course,
Here's the kicker for you. And no one's said it, but I've noticed in the news. You are my country, the UK, I live here. But Keir Starmer signed you back to the UK, and I know for a fact, and no one's picking it up.
What? Say that again. Keir Starmer's doing what?
He sold you back to the EU.
Oh, no,
that's going on, yeah.
We always say, and I often make this point, Boris got elected on Get Brexit Done, and I think Starmer got elected on Get Brexit Undone.
It's well known he's trying to get us in the EU in all but name.
Andrew, I've got the paperwork for you.
OK. Can you send it to me?
Yes, I will.
Do people in Holland and Netherlands want to leave the EU?
Oh, we're done.
But it's not. You're not going to be allowed after Brexit. They're really going to stamp down on it.
Yes, we are, because Donald Trump just said, I'd like the EU to divide themselves.
Yes.
Finished.
Hopefully go. And why did you move there, and how long have you been there? Did you move because of the state of this country?
For love.
For love? Oh, how glorious. Are you still together with your hubby?
No.
No.
Oh, well, you can move back now then, can't you?
No. I'll do whatever I like, but I'll say something, I'll fight for the UK.
Yes.
Nice one.
Well, you should fight. I love the fact. I love the call like this because it always gives us a different perspective. But you're right. Men can be men and women can be women. We should celebrate both.
Andrew, are you on X?
Yes, I am. You can follow me at Andrew Eborn.
He's on
at
a lot of stuff.
TV. More platforms than Paddington.
Grindr. You can find him everywhere now.
No, but
Tinder. I'm not on Tinder.
I'm telling you, matter of fact.
Yes.
Keir Starmer has put you back to the EU.
Can you send him all the data you've got?
Send me the stuff. No, seriously, I'd love to do that. You can follow me at Andrew Eborn, at Octopus TV.
Wait a minute, then.
You can.
He's very good. At Virtual Ash.
At Virtual Ash. You can have a look.
I've already texted you, Ashy boy.
Yeah, you ignored that. See, I will respond to you. It's got to be good. And you can also follow on the YouTube channel as well. Go to that Octopus TV and the Andrew Eborn Show, and I will respond to you.
I love your magic trick.
Oh, thank you.
I don't do magic. Oh, you mean Andrew? He burnt his finger the other day. He does it on What Just Happened every Saturday.
And what I love is the Kevin O'Sullivan show.
The good Kevin O'Sullivan.
The brilliant Kevin O'Sullivan.
Do you have children?
I do. I have two wonderful, my best productions ever.
What are they, boys or girls?
We have one of each, and I'm so proud. You could not find a prouder
father. Like the railway children. Anyway, Luann, thank you very much. What? Anything else?
25 minutes try to get through to you.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you something. Ash, love you.
Thanks, Luann.
And I'll tell you something. You're a good-looking boy.
Oh, there you go. See, look. Hey, he's very popular with the ladies tonight.
Gentlemen.
Yeah, have you been smoking the wacky backy out there? I know you all smoke wacky backy out there, don't you?
No, I don't smoke that shit.
No.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. Well, people do call it shit, don't they? I've got some good shit, don't
there you
they?
go.
Anyway, thanks, Luann.
Lovely to hear from you. Take care.
Jason, Leicestershire.
Hello, Jason.
No, Jason, yeah.
Hello, fellas. How you doing?
Good.
All right, man.
I'm a born-again Christian like Ken.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
I've heard him ring this station for years.
Yes.
I'm not the kind of fire and brimstone kind. I've heard a couple of people ringing up saying about how he does the reading and stuff.
You're more like the Cliff Richard kind.
Oh, I don't know about that. He's a bit older than me, but I don't want to rebuke a brother because we're told not to do that. I shouldn't. But
don't speak about evil about anyone.
Well, yeah, you shouldn't do anything to cause a brother to stumble. So you ask Ken about what happens next.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got some ideas on that. But
okay.
one thing he said. He said about the prophecy of Zechariah, about a third of the Jews being refined in the fire.
And three-quarters of Christians.
It wasn't good. What's your take on that?
Really bad news, wasn't it? Depressing, that
What would you like to say about that?
Yeah, that's already happened. That was the Holocaust.
Oh, I see. So
there were 18 million Jews on Earth at the time, and
so
it's not a forewarning of something.
Well, why didn't Ken could have picked that up? But anyway, carry on, Jason.
Yeah, Ken's got my Bible teacher called Zeal Without Knowledge. I mean, Ken knows a lot, and he clearly loves God. But you've got to have a really good Bible teacher to be able to.
You make a really good point. And what I love is that you're being supported online by a lot of people as well. Angela Vandal, she was saying, but you're right, Andrew. Ken is way over the top. Unfortunately, has become a doom-mongering zealot. Would you support her in that? Would you agree that Angela's right?
Yeah, but it depends what spiritual gift you get. Ken got evangelism. I got faith, so Ken got a different thing. But some people get teaching. That's what they're there for.
Right.
You can't just read the Bible.
But there's so many sects, isn't there? And now you're saying there's even sects in the born-again thing, and it just gets divided and divided. Isn't this part of the problem? I mean, the Jews in Jerusalem are beaten by the Romans because they were split into 5 different entities, so they couldn't come together.
So can I ask you the question that I put to Ken, which we always ask this? Most people follow the religion that they get brought up in with their family, and they then follow a good life. They follow by the letter. So when they knock on the door of the pearly gate, would you let them in?
Yeah.
Ken's right above that. Like Jesus said, no one comes to the Father except through the Son. That's what born again is. Basically, you have to. You get faith isn't a choice. You get called.
Well, how were you born again? Did you hear a voice, or because Ken heard a voice?
No.
Well, how did you get born again? What happened? You just came to you one day, or how?
Well, no, I had a great life, but great job, plenty of money, good social life. Life had never been better. Then one day a friend said something to her kids about something, and she said, "Oh, it's in the Bible." I said, "Really? I never heard that." So I looked it up on a website, and the website I found, they had a Q&A thing. So I read a few more of them, and then signed up to the daily thing. So I thought, this is quite interesting. And then within about 2 or 3 weeks, I was just on my face on the floor confessing my sins to God.
And what was that passage, the one that really got you?
Yes, what was your road to Damascus?
I don't even know what the comment was she said. It was just some throwaway thing, but it just piqued my interest. I heard more and more and more, and then
suddenly it just sort of came to you.
Well, it just happened. Then all of a sudden, I just felt compelled to. I gave away all my stuff.
You gave away all your stuff?
Yeah.
What did you have? Like, what stuff did you?
I used to play guitar. I had 6 guitars. I took them straight down the charity shop.
All of them?
Rid of all my DVDs.
What, Fenders and Les Pauls and all that?
Why would God want you to give away all your stuff?
Yeah, you could have played. There's a big industry in Jesus music, isn't there?
Absolutely, Christian music is fantastic.
Yeah.
Why would you give away all your stuff?
Well, that's what happens when you get faith. I later found out as a gift. Basically, your life just stops and you immediately stop. So I had 3.5 years of basically teaching, 16 hours a day, Bible study.
Oh, okay.
That kind of thing, and then I ended up 6 years caring for an elderly relative.
Yes, well, that's a full-time
And what
job.
about your material now? Do you have a material world like Madonna said, or do you have stuff again? Have you bought any more guitars, or have you got nothing? Do you live like
the poorest little church mouse you have ever met? I have absolutely nothing. I've got holes in all my clothes. I've got an Xbox. But
well, hang about. Why didn't you give away your Xbox?
Yeah, we loved that.
I did. It was the first thing I did, and for the time I had the teaching, and all of a sudden one day a little bit of money came my way, and I found myself going in to buy another one, and I prayed and I said, "Why am I doing this?"
Because you love Grand Theft Auto, isn't it? Anyway, thanks, Jason. Let's go to John in West Lothian.
Hello, John in West Lothian. How are you?
Oh, good morning to you.
Good morning to you too.
What I would like to say is, first of all, well done to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Because it's put Mickey Mouse Parliament back into its box.
Put to shame, isn't it?
They can finally say what a woman is. Amazing,
they're probably panicking, aren't they, what to do now about all this?
Yeah, because they're the ones that's been given all these directives to all these authorities saying, you must do this, you must do that, and it's absolutely scandalous.
And it was proven to be wrong advice. Shouldn't they resign?
Oh, well, no, it's absolute nonsense, wasn't it? Keir Starmer and various other people dancing around.
They ruined people's lives.
They should absolutely have that certainty. And they were so pussyfooting around on the basis basis that they were worried they were going to upset people. And that's what's happened about not doing with the rape gangs and so on and so forth. They're so concerned they're going to upset people. They have to have the courage of their convictions, don't they?
Yeah, but I mean, we had a local councillor, Angela Dorn-Timpson, who put a motion through to our local council.
Yeah, well, we've got to be careful about local councils, but go on.
Yeah, you must respect women and girls' spaces.
Yes.
And it was voted down by all the other parties.
Well, they will do, because if they don't do that, they get cancelled. This is the trouble. They're all captured. And we've got 4 years of this before anyone has a chance of changing anything.
She had to put up with so much abuse on social media. It was just unbelievable.
Well, look at J.K. Rowling, from the people she made multi-millionaires.
Rowling as in bowling.
And her as well. Radcliffe, Emma Thingy, and the other ginger nut.
And you're right. And I think what we have to do, and the trouble is these are bullies, and this is why people are scared to speak out.
Yeah. Fascists as well.
And it is. We have to speak out against the bullies, not the political side, because it's say elections going on. Talk out about the bullies. We will encourage anybody, and we say encourage debate, absolutely. Come on here, come on the different programmes, talk about it in the same way as Julia did with her particular guest. You say, look, come on the programme, you're very invited, we don't want you to feel threatened, but also you're shaming and denigrating the people who genuinely have concerns, genuinely have issues, if you sort of ham it up a bit.
And this Supreme Court ruling will be a pivot point. People won't maybe be as scared, you know.
Don't be scared.
People are worried they put something on a poster and end up in prison, because it does actually happen, even though he's very proud of our freedom.
We have to encourage people to talk common sense. They mustn't live in fear.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other thing is, I mean, apart from our Mickey Mouse Parliament, which is now being put in his box, the big concern is that we now have a Prime Minister and government that is anti-British.
Well, we know that,
you know, they are just not listening to
he even admitted it when he was off Davos or Westminster Davos.
He preferred. We have to. This is again the other thing. You say that you're proud to be British. All of a sudden, well, that's racist or something rather. It's absolute nonsense. We have to have pride in our country.
Flag, you remember,
and have common sense.
He had the flag, didn't he, kill someone? Everyone had to go at him. Imagine if the French president or other didn't have their flags behind him. It's outright. And remember that MP slagged off the cross on some guy, a worker's van. Utterly outrageous. Hating
Make Britain great again. That's what we want.
John.
Thank you, great points.
Chris, have we got a breaky? Yeah, take a little break, back in 2.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's not Talk Sport, it's Talk Sport Mug. That's
there we go.
So cross promotion. It's Talk. James Welsh, but he's gone home. He'll be back next week from 10 to. It's me and Andrew. But look, the Panasonic answer machine is flashing. It's Ali. Ali, yeah, press play.
Press play.
Hi guys.
Hi, Ali.
It's Ali from
She's
Oldham.
not really there.
Regarding the trans situation, I can't understand why we cannot just have male, female, and then trans female and trans male.
Yeah.
Where if you're a trans woman, then you're a trans woman, or you're a woman. Do you know what I mean? Why can you not just change it to that? Because if a trans woman meets a man, surely they're going to have to tell them anyway that they used to be male. I am a trans woman, so you know who you're meeting, and vice versa.
Yeah, but I mean...
Anyway, that's my take on it.
Thanks,
Love
Ali.
you guys.
Thanks, I really love to talk to you.
But the thing is, you can't have like loads of training rooms and extra 4 events, you know, and you know it should be males versus males and females versus females.
You can have extra events. I think this is the point that if you had the Trans Olympics, you can work on that sort of basis. The reality is that you've got to work.
Are we going to have
reasons.
the furry Olympics where there's dogs and cats running?
Oh, that's a great idea.
Good idea. It's going to be a big money spinner.
Yes.
Greyhound racing at the Olympics.
Oh, I used to have a greyhound. Have you ever done that?
No.
It's a brilliant sport. A number of
You owned one?
I did. Chris Evans used to have a greyhound as well.
And did yours do any good?
Yes, we won Dog of the Month. I'll tell you about greyhound racing though. Even when we were winning, you still lose. Oh, that's a different caller. You still lose loads of money, kennel fees and other bits and pieces. It's a great sport. I love it.
But sometimes they're cruel to the dogs, you know.
Yeah,
what they
never
do
be
in
cruel.
There. But Talk Sport used to own one, I remember. I think it did all right. Anyway, Chris in Sunday, 0344 499 1000.
We're loving the calls tonight. It's got to be good. Hello, Chris.
Hey, man. That's true.
Good afternoon. Good morning,
That's
gentlemen. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. How are you?
0344 499 1000 and pick up if you've called before. Best time to call now. We'll get you on. We'll ring you back. Go on, Chris.
Go on, Chris.
Hello. How are you?
Amazing.
Right. It's Easter weekend, right?
Yes. We've got the chocolates.
I want to know, can we have a campaign? Because St George's Day is on Wednesday.
Yep.
Why is St George's Day no public holiday? You can have Scotland, Wales, and Northern.
They have the public holidays, don't they, on their respective days?
Can we not have a public holiday? Is St George?
It's not up to me and Andrew.
Yes, if it's up to us, yes, absolutely, you can have it. What do you do? Do you work?
Say again?
Do you work?
No, I'm retired.
So what are you worried about then? It's every day's a bank holiday for you.
That's not. It's just like we English or Brits should have
a bank holiday.
Should be voted. St George's should be.
We should absolutely. I think we're right. That people are ashamed of celebrating the Britishness and so on and so forth. We shouldn't be ashamed of this country. We should be very, very proud. So you make an excellent point. The knock-on effect, though, is obviously it's quite expensive having public holidays and so on and so forth because people's contracts and so on. Why would you want one now that you're retired?
I was saying that when I was working years ago, trying to get sorted out, I wrote to the Conservative thingy.
Right. What did they say? Did they respond to you?
You're joking.
All right, now look, Chris, do you know Brian in Whitley Bay? Brian? Hello, Brian. Do you know each other from maybe the Market Square? Do you ever go to Sunderland? Hi, Brian in Whitley Bay.
Not often. I mean, I do go to Sunderland sometimes. I used to go shop at the British Shopping Centre.
Do you like each other, Geordies and Mackhams, or there's a bit of a rivalry? Are you going to get on together?
I'm not into football, so I like people from Sunderland. So I mean,
Chris, do you like Geordies, Chris?
Yes.
There you go.
Brilliant. Well, have a chat. Maybe you can meet up.
My father was a Geordie.
Oh, was he?
I'm from South Shields.
My grandmother was a Geordie.
South Shields. I went to Durham University. It was great.
Wow, so we're all sort of Geordies.
We're all sort of northern.
Hey, man. What did you want to say, Brian? You had a point, did you?
Oh, yeah. I've been watching the news and that. Pakistan has just expelled 2 million Afghan Afghans, right? Even those who have been born in their country. So why can't we just get rid of people who are undesirable here? The ones
they're probably on the way to here now, aren't they?
You say undesirable, would you? But so that's a category, isn't it?
That was a while ago. The 2 million.
Yeah,
I heard that.
The ones who are sex offenders, get them all kicked out.
So you're supporting what we were saying earlier on the brilliant call that we had about sort of empowering women and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I was listening and I agree with the people are coming here. I mean, they're getting grants and all sorts to try and stay in the country. The ones from Rotherham and whatever. We need to start kicking these people out who cannot behave themselves in our country.
Well, also, a lot of these rape gangs that you're talking about there, they weren't charged with a racially aggravated crimes, and we all know it was racially aggravated. Why would that be, Andrew? I mean, you're the legal expert.
No, the reality is you've got to call it out, and we've got to stop being scared.
It was cowardice again, wasn't it?
Again, this is why we need to see the statistics, and we've got to turn around and say it's not. And I've said this beforehand. We had a different Ali on last week, and I said to him, and he was Muslim, and he was saying he condemns, absolutely condemns these rape gangs.
He said they should be kicked out as
and
well,
the point that I was making, you turn around and say, if the people who are leading in these communities can turn around and equally condemn them, then the politicians won't be scared.
But they're not, are they? That is the problem. Why aren't they protesting? When this bomb went off in Manchester, why didn't that community come out?
So my advice, and it's an open call, I said this last time we were on air last week, the brilliant show last week, what I was saying is that the people who are the heads in the community should turn around, in the Muslim community, to turn around, be the first to condemn it.
And the police mustn't be cowards.
The police,
and the politicians
nobody should be cowards.
And
we should call things out.
In fact, there shouldn't be, we're going to this community leader. We are all one community, and that's the problem that they're dealing with. Well, this is the two-tier system.
Yeah.
Yeah, something needs to be done. Somebody needs to have the courage to stand up and do something instead of being scared. People who come in here from France, you've got no passports, you can't get in the country. I can't travel overseas without a passport. You tear your documents up, out you go. Never mind what Macron says, send them all back to France.
And it's not like it's dangerous. They're coming from anywhere dangerous in France. All right, the food's a bit dodgy, but they had the sauce.
But we also get, and actually their stories are tragic, absolutely tragic, some of those stories, so I get it. But the reality is you must take away the incentives to come here. You've got to make sure, Trump is right, you've got to have an absolute prohibition.
And we've got to get rid of the ECH.
How come there's more men that come here?
Yes.
Illegally than women and children.
Because a lot of them, it's like, the Grand Tour we used to do in the 1700s in this country. They're just having a laugh. They're going, they're seeing on TikTok guys going, look at all this stuff we're getting, come over, guys. And people are using it as an adventure. And young men, when they're abroad, I remember when I was a young man and abroad, you behave, it's all novel. And there's a psychological thing. When you're abroad in a novel situation, you do crazy things. I saw people throwing a chair in a shopping centre that would have killed someone, it had landed. And they're doing lots of stupid things. And there's a lot of stuff, a lot of crimes, as we spoke to Anna and Jess, who set up that the women's groups.
But in addition to all of that, and I think it's fair to say, some of them do have appalling situations they're coming from. The reality, however, and I always mention this movie, go and check it out, Io Capitano, which shows a very different perspective about the gangs who basically exploit these people, exploit their hopes and aspirations and bring them over here. What we have to do is take away the incentive. There's an absolute prohibition. We can't deal with the sob stories because it's not working on that basis. We have a legal route to come through. Only the legal route makes sense. Don't make it comfortable for people who are basically put up in hotels and get this great life even when they come here illegally. And the stronger we can be on that, the sooner we can get it sorted.
Yeah, absolutely. One more point before I go. Yeah. I remember back in the 1980s, there was a lot of homelessness in London, right? I'm sure it must be still like that now. Why aren't they?
It's much worse now. We've got tent cities.
We've got tents everywhere, and again, it's hitting the headlines. Tents everywhere. You walk around the nice places in the parks.
It's like Glastonbury all over the streets. Well,
without the music.
What was your point, Brian?
Yeah, why can't we give our own people somewhere to live in hotels? Put them in hotels instead of putting foreigners.
Charity begins at home. That's what I always say. Charity begins at home.
But in COVID, every homeless person got a hotel. What about all the ex-servicemen and all that? Anyway, thanks, Brian.
Great.
0344 499 1000. Give us a ring. We'll ring you back and get you on, and we'll be back in 2 minutes.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Go, and we love it.
Anyway, it's Talk. It's the James. Well, I was just doing my makeup. If you're listening on the radio, I was getting a bit.
The
shiny.
eyeliner. People are loving the
People
eyeliner
saying,
today.
I haven't got eyeliner, and it's just. I think I just go in the makeup room. and I pick it on.
I love the Sam the Eagle look you had on last week.
But no, I think I used Dr. Dave Bull's. That's why I look a bit pasty faced. I'm a bit like, you know what I mean. And it made it look like I've got eyeliner, which I haven't.
Right.
Anyway, Paul. It's a James Welsh show. It's me and Andrew Eborn. Paul in Neath, near Port Talbot.
Hello, guys. Yeah, just had to correct Ash on 2 minutes. 2 minutes ago, he said that in Wales we get a day off, a bank holiday.
Did I?
Day. We certainly don't.
No, there's no St David's Day, is there?
I was campaigning for them. They wouldn't have known if you hadn't told them.
Would you like a St David's Day? Do you think there should be one?
There should be one, but unfortunately in London, Wales doesn't exist. But I'd like to go on. I'd like to say about my little piece earlier on that we got to stop these invaders coming in the country, guys. Yes. Starmer is nothing but a coward, a bully.
How would you stop them? What would you do?
I'd simply... we can't put the Navy in the water, unfortunately, like Farage says. I'm a big Farage fan, OK? I come from a Labour family. My grandfather worked on the Mumbles Railway down in the Gower.
The Mumbles Railway? Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, he was.
For the engine. The Wombles Railway, it's down there,
yeah.
Wombles,
it's a
it used to be in Wimbledon, and they moved it because of the cutbacks.
Anyway, it was a Tory area, but he was a Labour man. I'm not Labour anymore, I can tell you that. I'm fully behind Farage. But what we should do, we can't put the Navy in the water, but what we should do is the border force, that are a border taxi service at the moment.
Border farce?
Yeah, border farce. Should actually, as soon as they land, I can't go into any country.
You lock them up, don't you? And then they get the TikToks going, we're not in a four-star hotel, we're in the cell, and it'll soon stop.
And I'll tell you what's really interesting, and it's great to have you, the voice as well. Nobody is phoning in and saying what we're doing is right.
No, exactly. I can't go into any country in the world without a passport. So why are we being invaded?
You can come to England.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'd rather go through France and come in a dinghy, to be honest.
Yeah, you get your hotel accommodation paid for, a phone, a pizza, tennis lessons, driving lessons.
We get the border force, an actual force.
Yes.
And just put them.
So they should do their job, and we should do what effectively Trump is doing and saying it's 100%, no uncertainty, 100%. You come in here illegally, you're out again.
Yeah, but Starmer's got no gonads. I wish we had Trump over here just for 6 weeks.
That's not been proven.
No, he doesn't know. He doesn't know the difference.
It's just a rumour.
On a woman or whatever, does he? Let's be honest.
No. All right,
I'm so confused.
Great call. Thanks,
Paul. We're going to go through the papers. Let's start with the Daily Express 2-for-1 tickets to Blackpool. I love Blackpool. Get down, support Blackpool.
We love Blackpool.
Group forced to camp outside London landmark as migration crisis intensifies. Easter reality for migrants at Cathedral. And this is a story as migrants are camping outside one of the UK's most famous landmarks as the small boats crisis intensifies, the Express can reveal. Around 50 people, mainly from Eritrea, are sleeping rough on the steps of Westminster Cathedral over Easter. Witnesses have said the number has grown over the past 3 months from 5 to 10 to dozens in recent days. Why haven't they? What's going on with the hotels?
Absolutely. And what's crazy as well is not just about cathedrals. You look in most of the shopways, you look under the passes, tents
but I don't
cropping
understand
up
what's
all over
going
the place.
on. I mean, it's good news, but why aren't they getting 4-star hotels?
Well, no, they should absolutely clean the whole thing up. It's dangerous for
They've
people.
Probably
people
run out. I know some bills weren't being paid at hotels, were they, by the government?
But no, that's what we spoke about last week. And we always praise the guy from Tintagel who wouldn't let his big manor house be used.
Mappin and
That's
Webb
the one
family,
who said he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't take the money.
Well, he was a great man because he could have made a lot more money. He's obviously
several
probably
million.
A bit loaded anyway. But I mean, he saved his staff. He saved the community because it's a central hub, isn't it? You know, in these places.
But we need to clean up the streets. I don't know, cities around the world.
It's dangerous.
London is awful. We've now got this tent city in some of the greatest parks, some of the biggest shops, and so on and so forth. People sleeping rough in doorways. We need to work out exactly where they're from. Make sure we protect people as appropriate. But let's clean up the streets.
I was out with my mate Adam, who works here, and we were out late one night after the show, and we walked through Leicester Square, and this guy tried to mug us, basically.
Oh, did he? Oh,
he was
God.
obviously not from here, and he had a big, one of those delivery boxes, which is where he'd probably, but anyway, he scarpered in, you know, when he thought we were tourists, I think, but then he soon got the message. Daily Star, thought for the day.
Yes.
Enjoy and feaster Easter eggs. Doesn't really work. Cheers for beers. VE Day pubs open until 1 a.m. That's great, but it's just for a day, and a lot of pubs are closing early now because since COVID, I mean, a lot of them have shut altogether. But anyway, pubs can open for an extra 2 hours to celebrate the 80th anniversary of VE Day on May the 8th, says Sir Keir Starmer. Churchill would raise a glass or two to that.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's good news, but the pubs are really on their uppers, and they're really having a go at the pubs. So they're bringing in that law where we can't even chat to each other without getting
Is that
arrested.
crazy? You need to go down the pub and talk about the world,
isn't it? I mean, you know, people are going to be... And what about football crowds? You can't control a football crowd.
No.
I mean, it's a ridiculous...
Free speech.
They're trying to shut down the pubs because that's where the working class man meets and woman, and they tried to ban smoking outside there. I mean, they really are having a go. They hate this country.
The throbbing heart of the community are the pubs, and so many local pubs are being closed down. I think it's encouraging that you can have a couple of extra hours. It's good. They should look at the whole pub industry and work out what can we do, because so often the communities depend on that. And we should also encourage people to discuss things.
Yeah, man, because sunlight is the best. Oh, we've already done that one.
Let's get the bingo card.
The Daily Mirror. Royal
yes.
exclusive, Harry crisis of book fears, and a royal author is promising more sensational revelations about Harry and Meghan in his second book about them. Tom Bower claims their relationship is at crisis point and they want different things. Well, we all could see that, and we all knew it was going to happen. He said they face a fight for survival and that people will be fascinated by what I've discovered now. Prince Meghan and Palace braced for latest tell-all tome.
So, not in addition to Bower's book, and very interested book the first time, he's going to do some more. Harry's also talked about Spare 2, and saying that in Spare 1 there are certain things he didn't say. We were talking on the brilliant Kevin show yesterday as well. Brilliant Kevin. It was on just before this show, interesting.
No, that wasn't the brilliant one. That was
but he's going to do more revelations, and that's the way you sell these books is always by the index.
Yeah, but that's no wonder none of the royals, Charles will never see him, because they're all going to say, well, if you see him, it's going to end up in a book.
I think
he wears microphones. He wears little microphones.
I think it's always sad, and people forget when you're living your life in the public eye. It's sad enough with relationships. Families are difficult anyway. You have to have everybody looking at your life going through that. The strain up must be awful.
But do you think if it does all end in tears, their marriage, do you think he'll be welcome back? Because hasn't he gone too far with accusing them of racism and saying there was King Charles in his pants?
And he's been accused of hypocrisy, because he was accused by being racist himself. That glorious phrase that the charity he used to work with. The reality is that it would be great. Any family, if we can get them back together again, it would be brilliant. Dishing your dirty linen, washing your dirty linen in public has got to be
But it's all
bad.
they've got to offer now, isn't it? Apart from rubbish cooking shows, jam, honey, and all that.
It's not jam. It's not jam. It's a spread.
It's not even jam, for God's sake. And polo. I mean, who wants that polo?
We love a game of
polo.
polo.
Polo mince, but anyway. Here all week. No, Daily Mail, bin strike unions, iron grip over Labour ministers, and this is my spread. In Birmingham now, we've got rats the size of donkeys running around. They're revolving. And 28 of Starmer's team belong to Militant Unite. This is bad news. A quarter of Keir Starmer's ministers belong to the Militant Union behind the Birmingham bin strike crisis. It can be revealed. Of the Labour government, 108 ministers, 28 are card-carrying members of the hardline Unite Union. They include local government secretary Angela Rayner. Well, she's meant to be sorting it out, which she's failed totally.
403 Labour MPs have pocketed cash from Unite barons. That's what they say here.
Home Secretary Yvette Cooper, Foreign Secretary, basically all of them, Business Secretary John. It means their membership fees are helping to fund the strike pay which Unite is doling out to refuse workers. Workers lose pay for every day they strike, but sources say Unite is handing striking workers as much as £100 for each day they keep crippling. And this is money that they've got off the Labour.
And they've missed the trick on the headline. They should say it's rubbish. Is what they should put, with a screaming sort of sun sort of way. Are 403 MPs getting money?
Well, do you think there's going to be a backlash with? I mean, this is worse than the 70s because we haven't got the culture. I think it's actually going to be worse.
What they're saying is going to spread. So the bin strike's not just about Birmingham and so on and so forth. They're thinking about other places. Yeah. And it's scandalous. And when you take a service away, that's when you actually appreciate it. Yeah. And you work out that it is disgusting what's happening. Apart from the health hazard and so on and so forth, we need to absolutely get somebody who's a lot stronger and sorting this issue out.
I mean, people's cars are getting written off because the wires. I saw a Mercedes was written off because the rats get in and they gnaw the wires, and you're getting a wire loom back through a car, it can make it a write-off. There's a sad story there. Exclusive interview with Kami Badenoch. My cousin killed himself after going down an internet rabbit hole. I mean, it's a great worry, and they want to bring. I'm not happy about these laws, freedom of speech, and obviously Donald Trump. This will affect American companies. We've got to be careful with controlling free speech, haven't we? We have to actually be careful. It's got to be free.
But also, and I know everybody's slagging off adolescence and so on and so forth. One of the important things about it, but one of the important things about it is understanding just how toxic an environment is on the internet and stuff.
I mean,
it was a drama. But the thing about the internet and so on and so forth, it is the Wild West out there. Yeah. We should know what our kids, what our children are seeing. Should it be? Because and absolutely look at that sort of side.
People are saying in the future we'll look at it as mad that kids were allowed on it. It'll be like smoking. You shouldn't get it till you're 16. And should we be banning kids from getting on it?
I think we need to know what's happening and make sure that appropriate measures are in place to make sure that we stop the most toxic, the most horrendous, the internet rabbit hole that Kemi's speaking about.
Should it be the parents' responsibility? Should they have automatic access at any time?
I always say, here's another one for the bingo card. I always say it takes a village to bring up a child. We need a community. We haven't
got that one.
Add it to your bingo card. We need a community to bring people up. We need to change society.
We haven't got society like that.
Everybody likes to point the finger and say it's your fault, it's your fault, it's the internet.
But we haven't got a homogenous society.
So that's what we need. What we need to
call that. We can't get that without, Murray, who said deport, deport, deport.
Yeah, so what we need to do is make sure that everybody's on side. And what I love about the callers calling into the brilliant shows that we have on Talk is that they absolutely support this. You turn around, there's abhorrent stuff on the internet. We need to make sure that we're protected against that sort of stuff. We protect our children. And also, well done to Kemi calling out, talking about her personal tragedy with the cousin who killed himself after dealing with the internet side. We need to have a look at that sort of stuff and make sure appropriate action is taken.
But not too much. We need to keep free. Anyway, we're going to take a break and then we'll come back with the time.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
It's Talk. It's the James Wales Show with Ash and Andrew Ebel and Wales Gone Home. We'll be back next week from 10. Last paper to review, and then we're going to go back to your calls. The Times on Saturday. ABBA's Bjorn, Finding Love at 80. Doesn't look 80, but that's because he dyes his hair and beard ginger. And
does he?
But he looks great, doesn't he?
He
Unless
looks
that's his
fantastic,
natural hair.
and he still sounds great. And
Does he sing and that? You've been watching the hologram at Stratford. That's not him.
Isn't that good? But I'll tell you what,
seen it.
music of a generation. I love it. The soundtrack of our lives.
I mean, ABBA was actually, it's studied, and it should be studied. It's almost like a classical music.
It's
like up there with the Beatles. Well, maybe not up there with the Beatles, but it's that sort of thing. The great body of work they've got, you know.
Phenomenal body.
Great body. UN refugee body, talking of bodies, backs return hubs for migrants.
Yes, Labour's are eyeing the Balkans.
They're eyeing their Balkans. As Channel Crossing saw, Labour plans to deport rejected asylum seekers, well, hardly any get rejected, to return hubs abroad, have won the endorsement of the UN Refugee Agency.
And isn't that good? At least this is another state. But rather than just talk about it, every caller that we have on this says we've got to be tougher. Let's start seeing some action. This, of course, it's great that we have these return hubs, whatever the new buzzwords are.
Well, as long as it's not just fudging it in a load of
Let's do.
Because they're saying France now will take one back, but we got to take one back. I mean, it sounds we'll get even more that way.
The headlines you want to see is actions being taken. We've got an absolute prohibition. If you come here illegally, you're bound. You're bound somewhere else.
And move over, Jamie and Nigella. Here comes Emily and Co. So that's there she is.
Emily and Co.
Whoever that, eating a bit of pasta. And will the US give peace a chance? J.D. Vance, sounds like a shop where you get your clothes.
It is.
The US Vice President met Giorgia Meloni, the Italian Prime Minister, in Rome. He told of optimism concerning Ukraine. But President Trump said the US could take a pass on peace talks. But the thing is, they're talking about a trade deal yesterday with Meloni, but it's up to the EU. But this is another. I think the EU might start to fall apart once we get people really kicking off. They're not going to be able to force people, which they have been doing. They did it with Ireland. I think they did it with Finland. Eventually, do you think it's going to all break up?
No, so Trump is brilliant at handling the situation. Yeah. He was all the flirting he did with Meloni and all that sort of stuff and praising her. He's very, very good.
And she did it back as well.
Absolutely. And that's the way to negotiate.
That's how you
Trump.
do it in the Oval Office.
Thank you. Absolutely. And a lot of
not if you're Bill Clinton, you use a cigar and all that, but he's got a different technique and he plays his stacks. Anyway, let's go to Sylvia in Yorkshire.
Oh, hello, Sylvia. That was my grandmother's name. What a lovely name.
Are you his grandma?
Hello, chaps.
Morning.
What I want to talk about is Keir Starmer, he wants to hang his head in shame. These veterans that want to pay the respect to their comrades that fell in the Second World War, but he can find money to put these immigrants up, yet he will not fund, and there's not many of them that are left because they're aged, and he can't fund money for them.
It is scandalous, isn't it, Sylvia?
Well, it's not just old ones. There's young ones who were in Afghanistan and they suffered a lot of mental conditions as well. They need it even more, and they're the people who paid taxes all their lives and their families.
And it's very simple. So it's very simple. It's very simple, Sylvia, isn't it? If you're the government, you've got to work out where do we spend the money. Do we spend it on all these illegal immigrants, or do we spend it looking after our own?
Looking after these people that have served in the Second World War and the First World War.
Absolutely.
Build this country up. But
and the other wars that we've had.
Talk about immigration.
Yeah, go on.
Yes.
I want to say this. That Anna that came on, she was marvellous.
Yes. Anna McGovern.
And listening to her, what she said she's had to put up with, when you think you're looking every day, they're showing photographs of dinghies full of men. And I'm not being funny.
We had 600 on one day last week and 700 the next day.
And Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper, you're absolutely, the people in this country are fed up to the back teeth because if they've got children, grandchildren, they're going to worry, what is this country going to be like?
Well, not what it will be like, what it is like. It's unsafe to be out at night now.
It's a problem now, and the harrowing experience that Anna very bravely talked about, her own terrible experience where she had that assault, and the person was eventually deported, but it took 2 years. This is one of the reasons they've
she's had lots of other problems, and all girls will mainly have problems if they're out there.
It must be absolutely awful. So you're right to call it out, Sylvia, and you're right to turn around and say, we have to prioritise our own, don't we?
And you know what I'd love to say to Keir Starmer? You know these battleships what we've got?
Yes.
Get all these immigrants out of these hotels.
load them in here, take them to the jungle, because there's coconuts, there's fish in the sea, and let them all survive there.
Well, they're talking about, we've just talked about this, Sylvia, the front page of the Times, the brilliant Times, talking about they're going to say, get these return hubs, sending them to the Balkans. Do you think that's a good idea?
Excellent. Excellent. Something needs to be done.
It does. And we need to see action, don't we? Not just talk.
Here. You're right. And Keir Starmer, you want to hang your head in shame for what you're letting happening in this country.
Brilliant. You make such a good point, Sylvia. Thank you very much for calling in.
Thanks, Sylvia. And also in the Times, Britain's prettiest bluebell woods. Do you ever go out in the British countryside? I love the British countryside.
It is
it's
the
amazing,
best
isn't
thing.
it?
When people are feeling depressed, they just say it's the free thing you can do.
Go for a walk.
Go for a
Fitness, and looking at and go to places where people don't go. Don't go to like Amsterdam or the equivalent where you live. Go outside the green belts where you hardly see anyone. You can really sort of lose yourself in nature. You know what I mean? Like being back in the 60s, man, and like meditate on things and really clear. Where do you go then? Where do you like to go?
I'm very
live
lucky.
near Regent's Park,
I live
don't
the
you?
third bench on the left, absolutely.
Yeah, but that's, that's full of people. And cyclists going around at 40 miles an hour.
No, you're lucky if it's only 40.
It's like a peloton. That's a racing
but
thing,
it's glorious. I think anybody, if you can get out into nature, walk around, talk to
Epping
people.
Forest in London. Of course, you've got Sutton Park around Birmingham. In Manchester, you've got lovely, Alderley Edge and all that. I mean, a few footballers around, driving around in Bentleys, so be careful of that. But yeah, it's beautiful. And Le Long Weekend, 20 best French short breaks. I wouldn't bother. Just go to the British countryside.
But it's true. I'll tell you what's crazy.
You go to France. I bet you go to France.
I go everywhere. But it's crazy. It's cheaper to fly abroad than it is to hop on a train up the road.
It's like 35 quid. If you book in advance, 35 quid on Ryanair or EasyJet or one of those.
Crazy. And other airlines are available. Yep. The crazy thing...
People actually land near the place you want to go to.
Exactly. Staycation. We have a brilliant country. It is wonderful to explore. We need to look at our railways, why it's so expensive. We should be able to stay here. It's cheaper, as I say, to go abroad. It's crazy.
And do you remember during COVID when a lot of the hotels sort of started putting up their prices because everyone had to stay?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's so out of order. And Sir Chris Hoy, I found hope after my cancer diagnosis. That's good news. So anyway, what are you going to be doing this week?
Well, this week, it's Easter, isn't it?
So you're going to church. Do you go to church, by the way?
And actually, one of the wonderful churches we have, and little people know this, is that things like the Tower of London have a church there. There's a wonderful Canon Roger Hall.
Do you go there, do you?
I do.
But you've got a lot of connections. You can't just turn up. You have to pay entrance fee. You know what I mean?
A lot of these wonderful churches.
It is. I've been to the church there, the little one. Where
it's lovely, isn't it?
Isn't the bodies of people who had their heads cut off?
Well, yes, there's quite a lot of history.
It's just outside where they chop their heads off.
I think it's good, but also I like to say we go and see virtually every movie that ever comes out, so we see all that. So I saw the Steve Coogan Penguin thing this afternoon. That's just come out, which is very good.
I love Batman Penguin, Steve Coogan.
No, he would be a good Penguin, wouldn't he? He's such a talented
actor. He can do anything. He can just play anybody.
He is and indeed he has, from Jimmy Savile to other bits he did.
Carol in Manchester, you can't do that anymore. Carol in Manchester, what do you want to talk about?
Hi there. Great programme as usual.
Thanks.
But what I have to say, do we really do now to start thinking of falling out with France?
Why would you fall out? Why would you fall out with France?
Because of the migrants sending over the migrants thing.
Exactly. We have to. I speak to people months, years we've been speaking.
Yes.
We've been absolutely, I swear to God, I feel like we're in a dream of some...
It's like a crazy world.
It is crazy.
But they're giving them life jackets. They're actually helping them. They're even taking...
At the end of the day, this is our borders.
Yeah.
They are our borders. Now, for God's sake, why are we using... equipment, to go from one border to another? I'm absolutely gobsmacked.
Well, the thing is, we could sort this out very easily. We sort it out with Belgium. We've got a return agreement. So if the French were really serious about it, we're giving them £500 million quid. They're not exactly, so we have to say that. And the French don't abide by rules. We've got to take a leaf out of their book and just return them to the beaches of France, like the reverse of the...
They are calmly now, we have to say, they are not abiding by the rules, right?
Absolutely.
So why do we have to have visas? Why do we have to have all the... I mean, my God, we're getting people taxiing. They're not what you call... You know, like, for God's sake, they are taxiing over here. We're putting them up. You know, like... Why?
It is an invasion as well. I mean, William the Conqueror conquered this country with about 10,000. The Huguenots, over about 100 years, only 50,000 came. Exactly. We're getting 50,000 a year. It's going up every year now.
2,000. We've had, seriously, we've had 2,000 this week.
It's absolutely crazy. And nobody...
It's a national emergency.
Yeah, it's a national emergency. And it's been a national emergency forever. And nobody
France, I'll be honest, I'll even go that further.
Yes.
If they do not behave or do not, what you call it, or anything, we have to... Well, I wouldn't say go to war with them, but we have to do something.
Well, but they fish our fish. We're actually doing more deals of fish. We should be cutting them off from the fish because they love the fish.
I completely cut them off.
Yeah.
Completely. Yeah. I wouldn't even get round a desk. Never mind getting round a room with them.
But the thing is, what we could do is stop the incentives. I mean, people who wouldn't want to come here would come here anyway. If we actually had you go to a detention centre and you stay there and only the real claimants do it, it would stop.
And if you have no loopholes, if there are no loopholes at all...
Well, that's your lawyer's fault, isn't it?
Basically, you make an absolute prohibition, as we say. If you do this, this is what happens. You get rid of that uncertainty. And I know nobody, as I made this point earlier, is that nobody's phoning in here and saying, we're doing it right.
And also,
if they're doing it right,
exactly,
and if they throw their passports, they throw their passports away, they should be refused or asked for proof of, because you can prove who you are. You can contact embassies and get proof.